All right, here we go. It is drive time. It's a Friday. It is 7 minutes past the hour of 2 o'clock. And I'll tell you what, it doesn't get much better than this. It's about 75 degrees and the sun is shining. We're out and about today. Excited to be out here. Better known as God's country, Bountiful, Utah, at Murdoch, 755 North, 500 West, here in West Bountiful. We got a lot going on. Okay, I'm going to, right out of the gates, okay, I've lived here long enough. All right, we all love our free food. Okay, so hot dog on a stick in the house. That's right, come get a free hot dog on a stick. Grab the kids, and you can grab an ice-cold lemonade to boot. So we've got food for you. Okay, so that's number one. 755 North, 500 West. Want to see some of my good, bountiful people show up here with our good friends at Murdoch, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, and they've got a bunch of great deals. I currently am in a brand new Genesis, courtesy of my good friends at Murdoch. If you have not become familiar with the Genesis line, I would encourage you to look at that. That's not what they're selling here today, though, okay? So if you buy a new car, you get a grill. Not just any grill, a 28-inch Blackstone grill with the purchase of any new car. You can lease a new 2026 Ram 1500 Bighorn for only $399 per month. Lease a new 2025 Jeep Grand Cherokee Limited for only $399 a month. And they've also got a service special. If you need to get your oil changed, we're talking $39.95 for a full synthetic oil change. That's a savings of $40 We've got the Saturday car show at the store. Sweepstakes Saturday, where you can enter to win a one-year lease on a Jeep Wrangler or $10,000 towards the purchase of any new vehicle in stock at Murdoch, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram. Of course, you got to come see us. Come on by and say hi. So again, 755 North, 500 West in Bountiful. It's a beautiful day. Get your weekend started now. Tell your boss to go shove it. Tell him I said you're allowed to do that. Not sure how that's going to go for you, but you can give it a whirl. And then come on down to Murdoch, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, and Bountiful, or online at murdochcdjr.com. Hot dog on a stick for you and the kids. Free hot dogs, free lemonades. Come on by and see these great vehicles that are priced to move. Love these guys out here, man. Blake, Ben, they're such good people. Been great supporters of the show for a long, long time. All right, happy Friday. Congratulations, you made it. It is weekend time. And, man, do we have a lot to do on the show today. The NFL released their schedule yesterday. And while I'm not a huge, schedule release guy, I got to say they knocked it out of the park. I'm going to tell you why. Throughout the course of the show today, they really honed in to make their primetime games the best possible, namely on holidays and then, of course, Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football, Thursday Night Football. The 9 international games that we discussed that were announced earlier this week. So we're going to do some NFL on the program today as far as the schedule release. It is a massive night in the National Basketball Association. We have a couple of series that could end tonight, or they could advance to a Game 7. Pistons, Cavs, early on, kids, 5 o'clock on Prime Video. Prime Video has both the games tonight. Shout out to my guy Travis Henderson, former Jazz legend, well, still a legend, but now with Prime Video. Pistons, Cavs, 5 o'clock. Cleveland will try to eliminate the number one seed in the Eastern Conference at Rocket Arena in Cleveland, Ohio. And then at 7:30, unless Pistons, Cavs goes long, they might push it a little bit, but 7:30 Prime Video will have Spurs T-Wolves at the Target Center in Minneapolis, Minnesota. The Timberwolves will try to stay alive. Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs will try to advance to take on Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City has been getting rest. They're trying to get J-Dub back. They're trying to get Jalen Williams back. No word on his status as of now. On the eastern side of the bracket, as the New York Knicks await their opponent, OG Anunoby practiced in full with the Knicks today. He is reportedly ready for Game 1 of the Eastern Conference Finals. And we don't know when that's going to be, of course. We'll have to wait and see. So we'll get to some of that stuff on the show today to get you ready for these two big games in the NBA. Speaking of the NBA, Miles Turner with a random attack on Doc Rivers. Said that Giannis Antetokounmpo was late throughout the course of the season, namely like an hour late for flights. Sometimes they would have to sit on the tarmac and wait for him, and Doc just didn't do anything. I'm a Doc guy. He was a Knick, And I very much like Doc Rivers, but it seems to be pretty clear that he was just cashing checks to basically fill out his tenure in Milwaukee. So some odd stuff as far as a ex-player taking a shot at his coach. You don't see that a ton. And he's still on the team, by the way. Taylor Jenkins took that job. Doc Rivers has been relieved of his duties. Of course, the NBA draft, top of mind awareness, and we now have a report from a credible reporter that the Utah Jazz are engaging with the Washington Wizards of the possibility of moving up to 1. Mark Spears is the latest reporter to put that out there into the ecosystem. So, of course, we'll talk Jazz. Of course, we'll talk draft. Going to do a little history lesson as far as the history of Danny Ainge and Austin Ainge and what they've elected to do in the past and whether or not there's some lessons that we can learn here as we are inching closer and closer to June the 23rd. PGA Championship second round around Around Golf Club in Pennsylvania. We'll keep you up to date on the leaderboard. Rory McIlroy, after a rough day yesterday, is inching his way back into the conversation for another major championship. Scotty Scheffler had a solid round. Justin Thomas in the mix. Cameron Young in the mix. Aldrich Potgieter is your leader right now. At 5 under par, this young man can hit the ball a mile. He is through 13 holes. Your leader in the clubhouse is Alex Smalley. After carding a 67 yesterday, carded a 69 today. Chris Gotterup has the low round of the day. He carded a 65. He is tied for third with a bunch of golfers at 3 under. A awesome leaderboard shaping up for the weekend as it pertains to the PGA Championship, and we will keep you up to date as we go throughout the show today. Tomorrow is your last chance to see Real Salt Lake at home prior to a 2-month World Cup break. And it's a rivalry game. RSL Colorado will do battle coming up tomorrow night at 7:30 on Apple Television. Our buddy Brian Dunseth will be on the call of the game tonight, or excuse me, tomorrow with Max Brodas, his partner for Apple Television. Utah Royals will be in action on Sunday at 6 o'clock Mountain Time against Louisville, so you have some soccer over the weekend. So jam-packed show, big weekend ahead. Happy Friday to you. All right, first guest right out of the gates. Howard Beck will stop by. Our hippest NBA writer around. We'll talk some NBA playoffs. We'll talk some NBA draft with Howard and see what the landscape of the league is looking like right now. And he'll join us as our first guest right out of the gates. Then we'll move over to Sarah Todd, our friend from the Deseret News who covers the Utah Jazz. Sarah was live in the lottery room, the room where it happened, and then, of course, has been at the NBA Combine. Get to some of the latest stories from the NBA Combine, what people are saying about the Utah Jazz at 2. A.J. DeBonsa, Darren Peterson, Cameron Boozer, Caleb Wilson, and others. Tony Parks will join us at 4 o'clock today, the voice of the Bees, my old radio buddy who joins us from time to time. And then we will talk some golf today with Paul Pugmire, typical Friday guest of ours. He hosts our Saturday golf show. So definitely stay tuned. I'm sure he'll talk a lot of PGA Tour with he and Jan on the program tomorrow. All right, again, live today, Murdoch, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram in Bountiful, 755 North, 500 West. Really easy to find. The ESPN 700 van is right out front. Hot dog on a stick, free hot dogs, free lemonades. Buy a new car, get a grill, not just any grill, a nice one. 28-inch Blackstone grill with a purchase of any new vehicle. They've got leases on Jeeps and trucks. They've got great deals. So come on by and see us at 755 North, 500 West in Bountiful. Howard Beck, Sarah Todd, Tony Parks, Paul Pugmire, me, Spence Checketts, all of you, the great listeners. Happy Friday to you, and happy Friday to you, Porter Larson, back in Salt Lake. How are you, young man?
I'm doing quite well, Spence. It's looking like a good, busy weekend on the sports side, but no complaints back here at the studio outside of not having a hot dog on a stick.
Free hot dogs. I mean, if you can find somebody to sit on that button that you push all afternoon, you can roll out and get a free hot dog if you'd like. If
you just spend a good 40 minutes on air without a break, I bet I can get out there and back.
Yeah, I don't want to do that. It's Friday. The voice is already going a little bit, so we're just going to do the regular show with the regular breaks, and we're going to take care of our client. Is that okay with you?
That's fine. I'll get a hot dog on a stick later, maybe on the weekend.
All right. Well, Porter apparently is already soaking because he doesn't have a free hot dog, but you guys can come grab a free hot dog at 755 North, 500 West in Bountiful. Would love to shake your hand and say hello on this beautiful Friday afternoon. Come on by and see us. All right, our first guest right out of the gates today, Howard Beck from The Ringer. But before Howard stops by, can't wait to catch up with Howard today. He'll have a lot to say about the current landscape of the Utah Jazz. But courtesy of our friends at IFA Country Stores, it is time now for your opening tip. IFA Country Stores have everything you need to care for your lawn, no matter its size or shape. Their 4+ lawn care program can promote healthy green grass for you this summer. They're the same products used at many local sports fields, golf courses, and city parks. More can be found at IFA.com. All right, let's dig into this for a little bit. So every day over the course of this week, with the NBA Combine going on and the Utah Jazz having the number 2 overall pick, every day you wake up, you check the news cycle, and every day there's another rumor about what the Jazz are going to do. Every day there's another piece written about what the Jazz should do. And a lot of this stuff are just bloggers, that are just trying to get clicks. It's hard to know exactly what's real and what isn't. But Mark Spears today, and Mark is a guy who you should listen to because he is well connected and he has a track record of having good relationships and kind of understanding the landscape of what's going on in the NBA. So Mark Spears today is reporting that the Utah Jazz and the Washington Wizards are engaged about potentially Jazz moving up to number 1. So, look, it's becoming more and more clear, and ultimately I think it's pretty obvious for a lot of people that follow this stuff or people that, are in and around basketball that the Jazz, I just think it's becoming more and more clear that the Jazz want AJ. I just think that's becoming more and more clear. Is that a guarantee? No, it's not a guarantee. But that to me would be the only reason the Jazz would be looking to trade up to number 1, because then they control how this goes down. Because for all the conversation about, well, the Jazz should do this, the Jazz should do that, as of now, Washington holds the cards. They have the ace in the hole because they have the number 1 pick. It's pretty simple. And if the Jazz want to call their shot and get any player they want in the draft, it feels like it's AJ. That's just kind of the way it feels. If you kind of combine some of the things that have happened so far this week, whether it's AJ actually going on record saying, yes, I want to be in Utah, I want to play for the Utah Jazz. The danger there, as we talked about earlier this week, is from a negotiation standpoint that does kind of, in a way, take some of the leverage that Danny and Austin have away. If you're running Washington and the Jazz call you about moving up to number 1, you know exactly who they're targeting. And so you can do to Danny Ainge now what Danny Ainge typically does to everybody else, and that is ask for everything. I want it all. And I don't think Ace Bailey 2 for number 1 and like Bilal Coulibaly, I don't think that's a fair deal. I think that's the Jazz giving up too much to move up 1 spot. This comes down to one calculation and one calculation only, in my opinion. How big is the gap between A.J. DiBonsa and Darren Peterson? I know Cameron Boozer is out there. Most of the stuff, not all the stuff. John Hollinger, who I like a lot, and is a very smart basketball guy, he thinks Cameron Boozer is the best prospect in this draft. Tom Haberstroh, weekly guest of the show, thinks Cameron Boozer is the number 1 player in this draft. And there does seem to be this kind of undercurrent type conversation that Cameron might be the safest player, right? As far as a guy that's going to give you 10, 12 years of very consistent, steady production, as opposed to maybe some of the variables with AJ and Darren. I think AJ's a no-brainer, and I also think Darren's a guy that, as long as the cramping stuff and the off-court stuff is things that have settled in, and the medicals that you're able to access this week, answer any of the questions you have, then I honestly believe that he is going to be a franchise-changing piece. And I do feel like there is a chance that he might end up being a better option at some point than AJ. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. What have the Washington Wizards done with their front office? And they're now being run by very, very smart basketball people. This is a franchise that for a long, long time felt like they were just searching for anything. And the John Wall, Bradley Beal thing for a minute looked like it could turn into something. It never really did. Wall couldn't stay healthy. And they could never really find their way. And I don't know if it was ownership. I don't know if it was their basketball people. But they, like the Utah Jazz over the past few years, have been quietly going about their business and hoping for a stroke of luck in order to expedite the process like they just received, okay? So Trae Young, obviously, he's a lightning rod around pro basketball. The calculation with Anthony Davis is simple. Can you stay healthy? That's it. But they've got, like the Jazz have Jaren Jackson Jr., Lowry Marketing. They've got some good veteran players, Keontae and his growth, Ace Bailey and his potential, Walker Kessler. I do think he's coming back. And Washington with like Alex Sarr, Bilal Coulibaly, Bob Carrington, and then Trae Young and Anthony Davis. Like, you throw AJ into that mix, and they've got a shot to potentially win 40 to 45 games next year in the East, and maybe even more because the East isn't nearly as good as the West. So this comes down to the calculation that Washington has done about what they want to do with the number 1 overall pick. And there's a chance that they've landed on maybe AJ as the guy that they want, and there's nothing you can do to move up. Because the bottom line is, I think Ace Bailey is a really, really good young player. I think he's an excellent young prospect. But there's also a chance that Ace is the type of guy that's, your 4th or 5th player on a championship contending team. And I'm not taking a shot at Ace because I actually like him a lot. I think he's got a big ceiling. The point is, you can find guys like that every year, middle of the draft, every year, free agent. You can find a rotational piece. What everybody is searching for, and if we're honest, we haven't had this since John and Carl. And I truly feel that way. I think Darren was awesome for a minute. Booz, of course, had a really, really, really good stretch. Those teams were good. Memo, we all love those teams. Donovan at this point is probably around a top 10 player. Donovan's probably the closest thing we've had to a franchise pillar since John and Carl, okay? You can find rotational pieces. You can find a guy that you want to play, 18 to 20 minutes a night for you. What everyone's looking for is the unicorn, okay? If Michael Winger has done his calculation, and Will Dawkins, their general manager, and Travis Schenck, their senior VP of player personnel, all 3 very highly respected basketball people, if they simply believe that only one of the players available, according to their analysis, will end up being a franchise changer, I don't know that there's anything the Jazz can do. Unless you believe that, moving Ace and number 2 just to move up 1 spot is worth it. And I asked the question, would you rather have whoever you get from Washington in this hypothetical deal? And we'll just use Bilal Coulibaly because it works with the money and he's a player that has some potential. Would you rather have A.J. DeBonsa and Bilal Coulibaly or Ace Bailey and Darren Peterson? I'd rather have Ace Bailey and Darren Peterson, at least at this stage of their careers. It feels like that's a steep price if that is the asking price. Now, if you look back at the history of teams moving up in the lottery this high, first of all, it never happens. It rarely happens. There was the Penny Hardaway, Chris Webber deal way back in the day. The examples of teams moving up just a couple of spots, the baseline is basically we'll swap our picks this year. So Washington would get 2, the Jazz would get 1, and then we'll give you 1 or maybe 2 future firsts down the road. It's very rarely we're going to give you a really good young player that we like and number 2 just to move up for 1 spot and one of your young pieces. There's not precedent for that. So it's hard for me to believe that could be an option, that could be a possibility. But look, now that Mark Spears, he is the guy that reported that the Jazz and the Wizards are engaged about maybe doing something prior to draft night. Now that that's out there, combined with AJ on the record saying he wants to be in Utah, we are inching closer and closer potentially to having a little bit of a clarity, having this thing kind of crystallize, to understand what it could look like coming up on June the 23rd, a night that we all hope is the beginning of the next great stretch of Utah Jazz basketball. All right, we're live today at Murdoch Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram at 755 North, 500 West in West Bountiful. Come on by and say what's up. Like I said, free hot dogs, kids. Hot dog on a stick. The truck is here. You can smell them. They smell awesome. We got lemonade. So come on by, grab a hot dog, grab a drink, grab the kids, come say what's up. If you buy a new car, you get a brand new Blackstone grill, 28-inch Blackstone grill with any purchase. Right now, you can lease a new 2026 Ram 1500 Bighorn for $399 a month. You can lease a new 2025 Jeep Grand Cherokee for only $399 a month. And then we can also look at a 2025 Jeep Grand Cherokee service special, $39.95 for a full synthetic oil change. They've got the Saturday car show at the store. Sweepstakes Saturday is this week. You can enter to win a 1-year lease on a new Jeep Wrangler or $10,000 towards the purchase of any new vehicle in stock. I've got the box right in front of me. All you have to do is come by, enter to win. We just want your name and your email, and then go on out and get a free hot dog. So come by and enter to win a 1-year lease on a Jeep Wrangler or $10,000 towards the purchase of any new vehicle in stock. That's all you have to do is come on by, enter your name into the box, and we're going to draw a winner later on at Murdoch Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, 755 North, 500 West in West Bountiful. Come on by and say what's up. All right, we'll catch a break. Howard Beck is our first guest right out of the gates on ESPN 700. All right, we're live today. Murdoch, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, 755 North, 500 West, and West Bountiful. Here's really what you need to know. Number one, you can enter to win a one-year lease on a new Jeep Wrangler or $10,000 towards the purchase of any new vehicle in stock here. So come on by and enter your name into the Enter to Win box, and we're going to draw a name later. 755 North, 500 West in West Bountiful. And how about this? Free hot dog on a stick. Yeah, you heard me right. Go grab the kids, get them out of school, come grab a free hot dog and a free glass of lemonade if you'd like. Howard Beck, Friday afternoon. Happy Friday, sir. How are you?
How you doing, Spence? Good.
I'm good. Have you ever had a hot dog on a stick?
I think it's probably been a very long time. I kind of swore those off a while back.
Okay, fair enough. Well, it's essentially a corn dog, but if you've never had one, then we can just move. We can move on. Howard, I've got good news. Go ahead.
In my youth.
Okay.
I gotta watch my health these days, man. I'm middle aged.
No, I'm with you. I'm creeping up, but I have some good news. Are you ready to hear some good news?
Always.
So out here in Salt Lake City, we no longer believe that the draft lottery is rigged.
That is fantastic news. Congratulations, Salt Lake City. Welcome to
Thank
reality. Welcome to reality. I listen. I was on Zach Lowe's show yesterday. Was it yesterday? I think it was yesterday. And I told him my main takeaway from the lottery. There's a lot of different things that happened, obviously, and some really interesting twists and turns. And oh my gosh, poor Indiana. And here's the thing: if nothing else, as we mark what is probably the last lottery of this kind before reform hits, this last lottery should stand as the final statement, testament, case, proof, whatever you want to call it, that there are no basketball gods, there is no such thing as basketball karma, and the thing sure as heck ain't rigged, fixed, whatever, because that is not the outcome that the NBA would have wanted. It's not the outcome that I think a lot of teams thought would have been the quote-unquote right result based on karma, based on cap circumvention investigations. Oh, hey, look, it's the Clippers getting the Pacers pick. Like, everything that could possibly rebut karma, basketball gods, or lottery fixing just happened. So everybody can now just calm down.
Yes, and we can move over into what we think the Jazz will do. But before we do that, what do you think? Because I talked to you last week, and I think Simmons does the lottery karma rankings, and so I asked you, So I asked you what the reaction would be if the Jazz got number one. They didn't get one, but they did get two. What are some of the conversations you've had about the Jazz lucking into two specifically?
I haven't talked to anybody about it. I mean, I spent the first half of my week. Not that your listeners care. I spent the first half of my weweek driving up and down the East Coast because we were picking up my daughter from college. And so I've been mostly off the grid up until yesterday. I've not been making the rounds. I do think that, this is going to be fascinating to watch the next several weeks play out and draft night itself play out, because I think teams are kind of all over the board with this Debanza versus Peterson versus Boozer discussion. And is there the possibility of, like, I don't know if we're all overstating or overthinking all the Jazz ties to Debanza and all that, but if they truly want him, and if the Wizards, and these are all big ifs, if the Wizards think that Darren Peterson or Cam Boozer are just as good of a prospect or the one that they are highest on, then the possibility for a deal is there. And you can take that down to the third and the fourth pick too. And there are teams further back that might want to jump up. And, we always love dreaming up these draft day trade scenarios to rival, Shaq, or Penny Hardaway for Chris Webber back in the day. And they don't happen often. Vince Carter, Antoine Jameson was another memorable one. We don't get a ton of these. I guess the last big one was probably Markelle Fultz, Jason Tatum, and oops, that didn't work out so well for Philly, but they've got bigger headaches today. So I don't know. I don't know how to read this. And teams are going to leak all kinds of misdirection because that's what they do this time of year. And we may not really know how to read this draft until the thing actually happens.
So the interesting thing, and we do now have a report, and this one from Mark Spears, that the Jazz have engaged Washington. Just conversations about what it would take to move up. And then A.J. DiBonsa did go on record earlier this week with CBS and said he wants to play for the Jazz. He wants to live in Utah. He already lives here. His family lives here. And you know us, Howard. If you say you want us, we badly want you. Okay? So that's kind of the deal around here. So what sort of dynamic, though, does that bring into play as it pertains to the negotiations that could take place between Washington and Utah? I mean, Michael Winger, Will Dawkins, Travis Schlenk, like Washington now has a pretty solid brain trust in charge of their basketball ops. It felt like for a long time, who's running the show? Is this an ownership thing? And now they've got some pretty smart basketball people. But if they know Danny and Austin want AJ, they can do to Danny what Danny usually does to everybody else and say, we want all of it if you want to move up.
Yeah, and of course, Danny's the one who orchestrated that Tatum Fultz swap that I mentioned. So he's very well versed in these sorts of deals and from the winning side, generally speaking. Look, if I'm Washington, and again, this all comes down to your scouting and your evaluation and how you feel about these players. But if I'm them, I'm loving this. Like, that's fine. Because if they think DeBance is the best player and they think, you know what, we want him, we're not budging, they can take him and A.J. DeBance will get over it. There's been plenty of guys drafted to cities that they weren't necessarily enamored of or franchises that they didn't want to go to. 89 times out of 100, they go, they make the best of it. And to your point, the Wizards are not the Wizards of old. This is a very smart front office. They're making the right moves. They've made a lot of savvy moves around the margins the last few years, just in terms of accumulating draft capital and positioning themselves to eventually turn the corner as they're hoping to now. So I think, DeBance, I don't know if we're overreading his reaction from the lottery, but I could understand if he or any other players might be a little down on the Wizards because of how they've been historically. I think they have a bright future, partially based on the fact that they're going to get one of these guys. But the Wizards would be wise to obviously listen to whatever offers come their way. And if the offer is, attractive enough and they feel really good about who they're going to get at 2 or maybe even lower if it's somebody else who comes calling, then why not?
I'm quite sure this isn't true, but I have this vision in my head of you currently being on the lam and police are chasing you and you just were able to escape. Is there any truth to that?
This is the drawbacks of doing radio interviews from the street in New York. This happens to me occasionally. I was actually on the exercise bike at the gym when Porter called, and I had forgotten what time it was, and so I rushed out the door because I didn't want to be that jerk who sits on the exercise bike or whatever, yammering at the top of his lungs while everybody else has to listen to it. So I came out to the sidewalk instead. And yes, we have sirens here in Brooklyn.
Well, I appreciate you doing that. It's actually making me nostalgic for Manhattan or Brooklyn in the spring and sirens in the background. So I'm actually enjoying it myself. Before we move off of this, because obviously we've got a couple big games tonight and some intriguing playoff storylines. I always appreciate the fact that you don't cosplay as a draft expert. Okay, I feel like some people do that don't watch any tape at all. So I'll ask you from the perspective of just kind of the league-wide, what you're hearing about the gap between DiBonsa and Peterson specifically, because we've had plenty of guests on that talk about, college tape is additive. It's not conclusive. When you look at a 5-year sample size of AAU, high school, and, according to Gavoni and these guys, every time Peterson and DiBonsa have played head-to-head, Peterson has been the guy for sure. Now, AJ had a better college freshman season, but what are you hearing about the perceived gap between DiBonsa and Peterson specifically?
I mean, I listened to Gavoni on Zach's pod earlier in the week, and he addressed it exactly as you said. And he still has Peterson at the top of the board because he has just a far more impressive repertoire on the court and has shown more overall to him, and because he's been watching him since he was probably 16 years old, as NBA scouts have been. And so, listen, those guys are the experts on this. I'm not. So I'll defer to them. I have not made the rounds recently with, NBA college scouts, the guys who were actually paid to, evaluate all the prospects in the draft. So I don't know exactly how to answer the question other than to say everybody seems pretty convinced that there's at least 3 and maybe 4 guys who could be franchise changers. And, that's the beauty of this particular draft. Like there's kind of this idea that you can't lose if you're in that top 4. But what I will always add to that is that historically it doesn't work that way. Even the years where we think that there's 3 or 4 guys or whatever the number may be in a given year, every year historically you go back and one of those top 3 or 4 is going to end up being a bust. One of them is going to end up being just pretty good or a solid starter. I don't think we're going to have like 4 MVP candidates at the top of the board, but they're all going to be discussed that way between now and the draft and on draft night and in the weeks and months that follow up until we get enough of a track record in the NBA to see what the truth is. Because no matter how much into the analytics era we are and how many different ways we have to evaluate these guys and psychologically profile them and everything else, you just don't know until they get to the NBA.
To kind of wrap up the portion of this part of the interview, because I've talked to you a lot since the Jaren Jackson Jr. trade and in the offseason about what the Jazz could look like next year, but we had to wait until we knew who they were going to draft. And although we still don't know, I'm just to the spot where I think if they don't trade up, they take whoever Washington doesn't out of DeBonsa and Peterson. So let's just have fun and say it's AJ. If AJ DeBonsa is on the Utah Jazz roster next year, what do you think it looks like for Jazz fans out this way?
I don't think it'll be the only thing they do to start with, right? And, they still got to bring back, Walker Kessler, and they've got to, decide how all these pieces fit. And is there anybody, what other moves are there to make, or are we just running it back with all the youth we've accumulated and Markkanen and Jaren Jackson Jr., and then just like see how it all fits? Maybe they take that approach, but I get the sense that the next step is to just hit the gas. And if that's the case, do you want to consolidate some of your youth and try to get, maybe one more veteran to put around your hotshot new rookie? But if you just assume, last year's group and plug in DeBansa, I mean, they're going to be exciting. They're going to be really competitive. They're going to be a lot of fun. But I think we went through this a couple weeks back where I can't do it now because I'm on the sidewalk, but I went through the standings looking at teams ahead of them. And, how many teams do you think you could reasonably leapfrog to make either the 6 guaranteed playoff spots or that 4-team play-in group? And it's going to be hard to dislodge folks. And there are some other factors in play too, right? Like what direction are the Clippers going this summer? There's been plenty of speculation that maybe they would, trade Kawhi Leonard. And now that they've got that pick, the 5th pick, does that make them more or less likely to make a move like that? And I point to them because you're looking for teams that are going to fall back. You can't just, add a couple of guys and just leapfrog everybody. Usually it takes some other teams also falling back. And there are other teams that are on the rise too, or that should be. And in that group. And, Portland's already started to make that ascent. So I don't know. I think it's too soon for us to know. We should have this conversation again probably in like late July when the rosters are settled.
Yeah, we for sure will. Hey, before we get to the games, and look, I like Doc. I'm probably biased because he was a Knick, and, he did win a championship. And I when I heard the Miles Turner stuff today, first of all, I went, "You're still in the league, dude." Like, it's interesting that a currently active player went as hard at his former head coach as he did. But I was blown away. I mean, and Giannis never struck me as the type of guy that just showed up whenever he wanted to. But I guess when you're that good, the rules are different. What did you make from the Miles Turner comments today about Doc Rivers?
My first answer is always going to be, listen, I'm a reporter. I want people to tell the truth whenever possible. I want them to be themselves. I want them to be as candid as possible within reason. I'm far be it for me to criticize somebody for actually telling us what's actually going on with the team.
Fair.
I've never heard anything about Miles Turner to indicate that he's somebody who would be embellishing, fabricating, trolling, whatever else. Like, I take this at face value until and unless people in that locker room and that coaching staff rebut it forcefully. I don't know how you disprove something. This is going to be the ultimate he said, she said, except it's going to be he said through like 15 players and several coaches and others. I haven't seen a lot of pushback. I guess Bobby Portis retweeted it with just kind of what he had something, I can't remember, he had an emoji on it or whatever, but like he didn't say it was false. And I don't know if anybody else has responded yet. Do you?
I haven't seen anything online, on social. I have not seen anything yet.
So,
no.
Yeah, I mean, look, what's his motive at this point to do that, other than he's riffing on his pod, and it's probably, if he's not telling the truth, that wouldn't be wise, right? Like that's not great for his relationship with teammates and the organization, or for the next team that might want to sign him because they might look at him as somebody who they can't trust. If it's true, they might still look at it that way because, nobody likes tattletale. But if it's true, he's at least got the ultimate defense. Like, hey, man, listen, I want a team that's run well. And I was disturbed by what I saw because it wasn't run well. And people may well respect that, too. So, I thought it was fascinating. And like you, I wouldn't have necessarily thought that of Giannis. But I think there's probably a lot more there than we expect. When it comes to Giannis, he's done a really good job of presenting himself a certain way over the years, and I think he is genuinely a good guy and a good teammate overall. But obviously, things were going sour there, and when things are going sour, maybe you're going to start to act a little bit more obtusely.
Yeah, and to your point, if he wasn't telling the truth, I think we would have heard 60 people come out already, and because it got so much traction. So I think, the silence speaks volumes, yeah? Yeah,
for sure. And especially in an era like now, Spence, where everybody's got a platform. Like, you don't have to wait for a reporter. Like, oh, well, the Bucks are in the off season. Well, 20 years ago, that would mean we may not have a way to reach guys, or they may not have a way to get the word out that there's a different version of this. Now, every single one of them can go to their Instagram accounts or Twitter accounts, wherever they may want to go. There's no shortage of opportunity to knock this down if they think it's false. And, so far the silence is speaking volumes.
All right, let's move over to some games here before I set you loose. And, look, I'll tell you what. I am the way I do this job, I feel like a lot of people in our ecosystem, they hate when they're wrong. They never admit it. It's lost in the ether, and they just lean into the one thing that they got right. If the Cleveland Cavaliers close out the Detroit Pistons, I will eat crow, and I feel like I kind of already have to. That was a gut check moment for James Harden and Donovan Mitchell, and now they're on the precipice of eliminating Detroit. What did you make of that?
Yeah, and on the precipice of making the conference finals for the first time in a non-LeBron year in like 1,000 generations or something in Cleveland.
Yeah.
Incredible win for them. And there's always two sides to these coins. And so you don't want to diminish anything, but incredible win for them, an incredible gag job by the Pistons. I mean, both things can be true simultaneously. You can give credit to one team and still look at the other team and go, how do you turn the ball over in the backcourt like that? Cade Cunningham, a zillion other mistakes. Tobias Harris with a really bad foul at one point. So it was both those things, and I'm stunned. I absolutely had the Pistons winning this series. We weren't asked to do it in print or anything on the website, so I didn't pick. But I probably would have said Pistons in 6 or something like that. I will be stunned if they lose it still, but I think the Cavs have shown us a lot, and I think we all probably undersold them. I will say, because you brought up the point, in our industry, we forget about all this stuff that we got wrong, but as soon as we got something right, I'm just going to point out real quick, back in October when our editors did ask us to put down finals predictions, I think my first prediction back then was Denver over Cleveland. So I had Cleveland coming out of the East back then. Now, that was the Darius Garland Cavaliers. But because I'm an honest person, and because I don't actually care about this and I don't have an ego about this, when we were asked to do those predictions again a few weeks ago before the playoffs started, I had Denver over Boston. So Denver long gone, Boston long gone, Cleveland my original pick, threatening to get to at least the conference finals. So that's fun.
All right, before I set you loose, just real quick, do you think these two things end tonight, or are we going to see two? I know you're not a prediction guy, but just your thoughts on the dynamic of either two teams going home or 2 Game 7s coming up on Sunday, which would be awesome.
I mean, 2 Game 7s would be phenomenal. I suspect the Pistons, everybody was ready to write the Pistons off when they were struggling against the Magic, and it looked like we'd have an all-time historic upset. And they kicked some butt down in the last couple of games there, and Cade Cunningham was just incredible. And I think, you see the spirit of that team come through when their backs are against the wall. I think the Pistons will extend this and get the series back to Detroit, and then Cleveland will have, a heck of a time, I think trying to win one more there. I think the Spurs are closing out. Their losses this postseason, I think they've lost 3 times by a combined 10 points, and they're all games where something weird happened with Wembanyama. One, he got a concussion and they lost. One, he was the 5 for 17 or whatever game, but he was 0 for 8 from 3. Totally anomalous kind of performance from him. And then there's the game that he got ejected from. So when they're whole and Wembanyama is playing and on, they're incredibly hard to beat. So I suspect that one then.
Howard, you're the man. Sorry for interrupting your cardio. We'll let you get back to it, and we'll chat soon. Be good, okay?
Sounds good, Spence. Thanks.
All right, Howard Beck from The Ringer. Always appreciate his time. 2 Game 6s tonight. It's Pistons, Cavs, and then Spurs, Timberwolves. We are live today on location at Murdoch Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Number 1, free hot dogs, okay? Period, end of story. You got to come by and grab a free hot dog on a stick. You can also come by and enter to win a 1-year lease on a Jeep Wrangler or $10,000 towards the purchase of any new vehicle in stock. The address is 755 North, 500 West. And we got the big boss man, the GM. Phil, I'm gonna say Pecoraro.
Yep, you got it.
Look at that. How are you, man?
Nice, you nailed it. Doing awesome. We're super excited. It's grand opening weekend, giving away a Jeep, and just really excited to be here.
So this is the grand opening of this location?
Yeah, we've been open since September, but we kind of did some renovations, got some things cleaned up, and we're finally kind of the big reveal, and we're ready to hit the selling season running.
How long have you been with the Murdochs?
I've been in the Murdochs for about 18 months. I was with a different organization with the Miller family for 26 years.
Oh, nice.
Had an opportunity to purchase this store and become a partner with them, so we're really excited.
They're the best, aren't they?
The best family.
And the Millers are awesome as well. I mean,
Yes.
I worked for them for a number of years. So you've worked with the best people kind of in this industry.
Yeah, I've been in the business for almost 30 years, and it's exciting.
Very nice, very nice. Okay, so buy a new car, get a grill, and not just any grill, right? This is a top-shelf Blackstone grill.
This is the Blackstone grill. We have plenty of them, but new or used vehicle, just come in. We'll load it in your trunk for you as you're leaving.
Okay, now give me some thoughts on some of the Ram 1500 Bighorn, $399 per month. What should we know about that?
That's an amazing deal. The good thing about the trucks, we have a full selection right now. We have actually 26 brand new Rams starting at under $50,000, also with 2.9% financing. So if you want to lease it or you want to purchase, we have a full array of trucks for you, and everything works perfect.
Same question about I had a Jeep Grand Cherokee a number of years ago, one of my favorite cars. So tell us about that.
Grand Cherokee for 2026 is refreshed. So we have a new interior, new outside, and the lease starts at $399 a month, both on the 25s and the 26. You can just pick out which one works best for you.
Love it. Also a service special today. Tell us about that.
Yeah, we're super excited. We have a new machine. It's called UVI machine. It's like an MRI for your car. It takes about 1,000 pictures of your car. To do that, we should come in, free scan, plus get an oil change, starting at $39.95, full synthetic.
I actually just did that because I'm in a Genesis, and so I went through the whole thing down at the Linden store. It's actually pretty cool. Finally, the sweepstakes. This is a big deal. People can come in and enter to win a 1-year lease on a Jeep Wrangler or $10,000 towards the purchase of any new vehicle. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't believe we actually have a brand new Wrangler on the showroom floor. If you come and enter, no purchase necessary. We're going to pull a winner out tomorrow at 2:00. Either $10,000 towards the purchase vehicle or 1-year lease on that car.
Right on, man. Well, it's a beautiful location. I love the Murdochs. They're my guys. I've known them since I was a kid. So congrats on the new gig, and thanks for having us out.
Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Okay, come on by. Now, again, let me repeat that, okay? And so far we have 3 entries, and they're all people that work here, I think. So you can enter to win a 1-year lease on a Jeep Wrangler or $10,000 towards the purchase of any new vehicle in stock. And if you buy a new car, you get a top-shelf Blackstone grill, 28-inch Blackstone grill. They have one on the showroom floor, so you can check it out. I'll repeat that you can lease a new Ram 1500 Bighorn for only $399 per month, a new Jeep Grand Cherokee for only $399 per month, and, most importantly, free hot dog on a stick. You heard me correctly. Free hot dog on a stick. And lemonade. I'll repeat the address. Come on by. Up here in Bountiful, my people, 755 North, 500 West, West Bountiful. Just put that address in your GPS, follow it, come on out, and say hello. All right, we'll catch a break. We got 1 hour down. We have 3 hours to go. Sarah Todd will join us coming up next. Sarah was in the lottery room when it was revealed the Jazz were going to draft at 2, and she's also been at the NBA Combine in Chicago. Tony Parks, our old buddy, will join us at 4 o'clock today, and then Paul Pugmire for some PGA Tour as the 108th PGA Championship is being played right now. 1 hour down, 3 hours to go on a Friday edition of the show. Keep it right here on ESPN 700. Live today, 755 North, 500 West. In West Bountiful, it's Murdoch Chrysler Jeep Ram, Murdoch Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Let me get that right. Murdoch Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, 755 North, 500 West. Come on by and say hi. You can enter to win a 1-year lease on a Jeep Wrangler or $10,000 towards the purchase of any new vehicle. They're going to draw a winner tomorrow. Most importantly, free hot dogs, baby. Hot dogs on a stick. The truck is here, and I just found out it's a family business. The dad drives the truck. The mom owns the business. The granddaughter is taking orders, and the daughter is cooking the hot dogs. So how cool is that? Come on by and support them at Murdoch Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram here in Bountiful. Sarah Todd, Friday afternoon. Sarah, are you a hot dog on a stick gal?
I already have so many follow-up questions. I don't know what a hot dog on a stick is. I mean, is that a corn dog? What are we talking about?
Essentially, it's a corn dog. They kind of spice it up a little bit. You get fries on the side. It's like a corn dog on steroids. It's quite good.
Oh, well, then I am a 100% in. A corn dog is literally one of my favorite foods of all time.
Love that. Love that. Well, if you have time, come out to Bountiful because it's free, and also ice-cold lemonade on the side. How does that sound on a Friday?
It doesn't sound too bad, actually.
Okay. All right. Sarah, give us...
You're really sounding. You're doing a great job of doing your job right now.
I appreciate that. And a family business. The dad drives, the mom owns, the granddaughter takes the orders, and the daughter makes the hot dog. How cool is that?
It's great. I love it. I think everyone really, really should come out there.
Absolutely. 755 North, 500 West here in West Bountiful. Sarah, I find Hamilton entirely overrated, but I'm going to use the line anyway. You are in the room where it happens. What was your lottery experience like? Give us a little peek behind the curtain.
It's funny because I stayed away from Hamilton for way, way longer than everyone else. Mm-hmm. And I just got into it last year, and I regret staying away from it because I loved it so much, and I'm a huge Hamilton head. So I'm in my Hamilton phase right now where everyone had it like 10 years ago. I'm currently in it.
I see.
And so I love being in the room where it happens. Call me Aaron Burr because I wanted to be there, but I actually was there. And,
I love it.
Yeah, it was weird. What I'm telling everyone is that, it was nice to actually see some emotion out of somebody. I think the last time that we saw real emotion before this year was the Zion Williamson year when Alvin Gentry got up and screamed and said some flowery language because they knew they were going to get Zion when they got the number 1 pick. Now, that didn't turn out great, but Austin Ainge kind of gave the Tiger Woods fist pump and then was like, yes, when they were announced number 2. And it's good to see, NBA executives not be stuffy and actually do what we're all thinking and celebrate the moment. And I honestly was surprised. I think that I've become so jaded over the last few years that I kind of didn't expect for the Jazz to jump up into the top because I felt pretty surprised when I saw it happen too.
I had a visceral reaction. I jumped off the couch. I was like, sweet. I mean, look, this is great for fans. It's great for the organization. I'm happy for Ryan and Danny and Austin and everybody, but I'm happy for us. I'm happy for you because you're there every night. I mean, this is good for all of us.
Yeah, it's great for everyone. I felt really happy for Jazz fans because, with the changes that are going to be coming down with lottery reform and everything, like, it wasn't just that this was kind of like, this was the last year the Jazz were supposed to be tanking, right? Like, we all know they're supposed to start trying to win next year. But with all the changes that are coming, it kind of felt like this is the last chance that really, like, bottoming out can help. So getting a top pick is so important this year. And so when it happened, it was like, all of the suffering is paying off. Now, we don't know if, whoever the Jazz take, whether it's, DeBonsa or Peterson, we don't know if they're actually going to pan out, right? Like, it's the hope, it's the potential, it's what we all think is going to happen, but we don't know. But this is the best case scenario, right? Like, you get a swing at one of the top guys. It's what everyone wanted. It's what all the work was for. And now hopefully it's going to turn into something good. I'm really, really happy for Jazz fans.
Let me go back to the process that you witnessed because, of course, there are a lot of people that think the thing is rigged. I am not one of those people. I never have been. But what can you share about how the league and their partners kind of go about the process? And did any of it fascinate you, catch you off guard? What's your reaction since you saw it up close?
Yeah, that's my, I think, fourth or fifth time being in the actual drawing room. And so at this point, it feels kind of old hat to me. Like I haven't thought that it was rigged. I mean, you've got, the lottery machine company is the one that like weighs all the balls, and they bring them in this suitcase, this case that's been locked after it's been, everything has been weighed and certified by the Ernst & Young accounting and law firm. They've got two officials, legal counsel that are in the room there. They open up the case, individually put all of the balls and call out the number of the balls and show everyone in the room that they're putting them into the lottery machine. When they initially mix the lottery machine, when they push, the button to make it go, the person that is timing how long the balls are mixed before the person picks the ball out of the machine has their back turned. They're not allowed to look at the machine. And so everything is done like there's so many people in the process. And then all of the number combinations, there's a packet with all the number combinations on the seat of every media member that's there. They're on the desk in front of all of the team representatives that are there. And then they're on these huge poster boards on the side of the wall, where then NBA counsel person certifies that the number combination matches where they find it on the board, it matches, they call out the name, and then one of the Ernst & Young accountants looks at their packet of numbers and nods and says, yep, I also see that is the name of the team that's this number combination we just pulled. So it's just like, in order for it to all be rigged, you would have to have a conspiracy between the lottery machine company, between Ernst & Young, between the NBA, and then whatever team is winning, there's got to be a reason, right? Like there's got to be an agenda for the NBA and for Ernst & Young to all be doing it if it was all somehow rigged. And so when I see it all happen in person, I'm just like, who is it benefiting? Like, who does it benefit that Washington wins this year? Like, Washington winning the lottery benefits no one but Washington fans, right? Like, it's one of the most irrelevant teams in the country right now. And even when you go back to, like, Cooper Flag, I'm like, if the NBA wanted the Lakers to get Cooper, it's just like it would take so much conspiracy. And then at what point does the NBA even owe Dallas anything at that point? They could just be like, all right, whatever. Great, you did the job and you got Luka to the Lakers. We don't have to give you anything at this point. So it's too complicated. It would be so convoluted for anyone to actually do something sneaky.
Yeah, and to add on the storylines this year, I mean, with all the cap circumvention stuff, I'm quite sure the league wasn't thrilled that Indiana lost their pick and went to the LA Clippers. That's not something they were looking to have happen.
Let's say worst case, because still, we don't know what's going to happen with all of that stuff, which is crazy that we still don't know. But worst case scenario, like I think the biggest thing to be handed down is probably like, well, the Clippers have to void Kawhi's contract and they're also losing picks. Well, then they've got a ton of cap space and they just got the 5th pick in the draft. Right. So like, that is not what the NBA wanted to happen. They've spent all year complaining about tanking teams. And two of the most egregious tanking teams were the Wizards and the Jazz, and they were the highest rewarded teams in the draft lottery. So that is not how the NBA wanted things to play out, I don't think.
Yeah, we can put that to bed. Is it safe to say that Indiana is now going through the unimaginable?
They are going through the unimaginable. You'll see them walking uptown. They're sad.
I'm not going to do this the entire interview, but now that I know you're going – see, here's the thing. My family went through the phase from the minute it was released, and my sisters and mother, who used to yell at me to turn my hip-hop off, suddenly were rapping during family dinner. I'm like, you guys are hypocrites. Okay, that's why I'm frustrated about the Hamilton stuff.
See, I stayed away because I was frustrated about the historical inaccuracies and how people were going to take the wrong message from the play, and so I stayed away. And then I was like, dang it is just really, really good though. It's well written and it's really catchy. So
Hard to argue. Hard to argue. Okay, Sarah, I've been talking about this all week, and you and I often discuss this. If you want to know what's going on with your team, you listen to the beat writers. You read the beat writers. You listen to the people on the ground here locally. And as a result of the Jazz grabbing number 2, suddenly they're in the national NBA conversation in a way that they haven't been probably since the Gobert Donovan stuff during COVID. And you hear a lot of accusations that Ryan Smith has been he's been very, the approach to get A.J. DeBonsa has been calculated from the start, like 4 or 5 years ago, where he wanted to get him here to Utah Prep for high school. And then he was part of the group that got him to BYU. And the entire master plan was for A.J. to land in Utah. The problem with that narrative is Washington's going to have something to say about this. But you tell me what your understanding is of the relationship between A.J. and Ryan, and A.J. now going on record saying that he would like to play in Utah. What do you think that means for this draft cycle?
Yeah, I mean, like it's undeniable that there's a relationship between, Danny Ainge, Ryan Smith, and BYU, and that AJ has been here, and that, he attended Jazz games. He has been around the team a lot more than, other draft prospects because he's been in Utah. But I think when we're talking about this, I think that what's really, really important to point out is, like, when people are talking about, like, AJ wanted to be in Utah. Like, he chose to come to Utah, and that shows that, like, he wants to be here. I would just say, well, Keontae George went to IMG Academy in Florida for 2 years. That's the same amount of time that AJ has spent in Utah. He's from Massachusetts. Like, that does not mean that he wants to stay here any more than it meant that Keontae George wanted to stay in Florida for the rest of his life. Okay, like, that just because he spent a little bit of time here doesn't mean that he's chosen this for his forever home. Now, when guys go to NBA cities, no matter how much they love the place and enjoy being there, often when their NBA careers are over, they leave that place too. So it's not just a guarantee that just because he was here to go to BYU that he's going to want to be here forever. Everything has to do with team and how the NBA team ends up playing out over the course of that first contract, right? Like, we have all seen that happen. And also, I will say, just because he was at BYU, that does not give too much of a boon to the Jazz if they take him, right? Like, it would make people in Provo happy, it would make BYU fans happy, but the thing that is going to keep the Jazz profitable, the thing that is going to make the Jazz, make the line move for the Jazz is just winning games no matter who is on the team. And so from everything that I have heard around the league and from people in the know, the Jazz are not going to be making this decision based on where someone went to college. And there is no reason for an NBA team to pay for something when they can get something for free. And so if the Washington Wizards want A.J. DeBonsa and that's who they're going to select, the Jazz can have Darren Peterson for free. And that is not bad. He is arguably the most talented player in the draft, maybe with the highest ceiling. And so why would you trade away assets in order to have Darren Peterson for free?
I completely agree with you. I mean, if I was running the team, and I'm not, I would take whoever Washington doesn't out of those two, and I'm fine with that. Like, the whole, and I don't know where this started, but I've been sent, I don't know, like 10 or 15 stories or tweets like, we should trade Ace and 2 for 1. I'm like, give me Ace Bailey and Darren Peterson instead of Bilal Coulibaly and A.J. DeBonsa. All due respect to A.J. Like, I'm of the mindset, don't overthink it, don't overpay. If they want A.J., take Darren and put him next to Ace, and let's go.
Yeah, and I think, there's so much, like, we're talking about the difference between a national and a local conversation, right? Like, the national conversation is obviously going to look at these connections between AJ and BYU and Jazz ownership, and I get that, but everything that I'm hearing is like, yeah, the connections are there, but you could pick any NBA owner. I mean, Matt Ishbia went to Michigan State, and he constantly loves to talk about it. That doesn't mean that they're just going to take Michigan State guys. You don't think that he's a donor to that school? Like, there are so many NBA owners, there are so many NBA executives that have ties, and their alma maters are teams where good basketball players come out of. That does not mean that NBA teams start to give up assets, leverage their future just for a little bit of a school connection. That is not how this works.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. So tell me so Mark Spears did report today that the Jazz and the Wizards are engaging in conversations. None of us know what that means, but I think Mark's a reputable guy. Some of the other reports, I'm like, well, I don't even know who you are. Are you looking for clicks? Is this an aggregator? It's hard to know in the landscape when you're trying to get stuff off of social or whatever. But if Mark says it's happening, I'm inclined to believe that it is. What does that say to you? Does that say that the Jazz might want to control their destiny to take AJ at 1? And what do you think it would take to move up if that's really where their hearts are at?
Yeah, I mean, engaging in conversations can mean nothing, right?
Yeah.
Like, it can mean that they picked up the phone and that they're willing to listen to what the Wizards have to say. But, you know, so is every other NBA executive in the country. You know, like, they have to entertain the conversation, if for no other reason than just to keep relationships with all the teams for when future trades are going to happen. I mean, if you just say, no, we're not listening, nothing's happening, and you hang up the phone, like, that's not good for business. And so engaging in conversations is completely understandable. I mean, I would listen to what every team has to say. I would listen to what teams underneath the Jazz have to say about wanting to move up to 2. I would just hear out all the offers, right? That doesn't mean that it's going to happen. I have no reason to think that the Jazz would actually be willing to give up assets, no matter what it would be, right? Like, you want to package a player, you want to, you know, and maybe they are trying, the package would look like something like buying in to get a spot that's later in the first round and packaging that in number 2 to get up to 1. Maybe it looks like putting a player like Ace or Keontae to put together to get number 1. The Jazz have not worked this hard and gone through all these tanking seasons to get, you know, Ace Bailey and Keontae George and the development you've seen from Keontae George and the hope that you have for Ace Bailey to package it together and maybe move up 1 spot just because there's a connection to BYU.
John Hollinger has Cameron Boozer as his number 1 prospect. Tom Haberstroh, who joins our show weekly, believes Cameron Boozer is the number 1 prospect. What have you heard, you know, being at the Combine and kind of being around this stuff, about the potential of something that would shock a lot of people, including me, that Washington looks at Cameron Boozer, or maybe Utah does? I don't know. What are you hearing?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I'll say is I think the same thing about the connection between AJ and the Jazz as I do as the connection between Boozer and the fact that Carlos is working for the team. You know, I was covering the Sixers when Mikal Bridges' mom worked for the team, and they picked him and then traded him on draft night.
Yep.
So just because there's a connection on a team does not mean that the people that are making decisions care at all. Like, they are going to make the move that is best for the team, no matter what connections or relationships are on a team. So I don't think that those connections matter. As far as Boozer being, I mean, I talked to a lot of people about him at the Combine, scouts, executives, et cetera, and he's an analytics darling, right? And so there are a lot of like analytic models and stat models that have him at number 1 because of how proficient, how efficient, and what he was able to do in college. And just because he's a stat darling doesn't mean that he is everyone's number 1 pick when it actually comes down to looking at the boards that these, you know, NBA teams have, like their own draft boards. He might be number 1 on the analytics sheet, but he's also seen as having, you know, the lowest ceiling. He might be a safe bet, but the thing is that he was efficient and proficient in college because he was bigger and stronger and had footwork that was better. When he gets to the NBA, he won't be the biggest, strongest guy, and everybody is good. And so it is seen to be a little bit of a ceiling cap on Cameron Boozer when you compare him to kind of the future potential when you look at guys like Darren Peterson and AJ DeBonta. And so most of the people that I talk to they admitted, like, yeah, he definitely is the stat and analytic darling when you look at these models, but he is not number one on most people's boards.
The only other player that I think is in this conversation is Caleb Wilson, the Carolina kid who got hurt. Gordy loves him. Gordy gave a good breakdown. I don't know that he loves him more than the other three, but you hear a lot of like, okay, if you get a top 4 pick, and Chicago's the lucky team this year to get that top 4 pick, then you're going to have a kid that has a chance to really change the course of your team. What are you hearing about Caleb Wilson?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of conversation about, no matter what everyone thinks about kind of the order of AJ, Darren, Cam, and Caleb, that there are some people that like one of them so much more than the other that, like, this really could be a jumble at the top. I think, the most likely thing to happen is what we all think is going to happen. It'll be Devonsa, Peterson, Boozer, Wilson. It'll probably go in that order. But if some of that was to mix and match in the top 4, it would not surprise me. And the thing that I'm hearing the most about Caleb Wilson, he just knocked all of his interviews out of the park. He did so also in the interviews with reporters this week. He was the most impressive person to talk to. He is so genuine, and he cares so much about basketball, and it comes across so much. And so when he got into a room with NBA teams this week and they were able to interview him and kind of get to know him, he really, really impressed a lot of people. Do you know if during any of the interviews, any executives said to him, talk less and smile more? No, absolutely not.
Okay.
Talk less, smile more, I think, is probably one of Aaron Burr's most polarizing lines, right?
Okay, let me ask the question like this. So for our listeners, Sarah was at the lottery and the draft combine. Throughout the course of your conversations with NBA people, does it feel like it is a consensus that it is AJ1, or is there a legitimate debate? Gavoni still has Darren Peterson as his top prospect.
Yeah, I think that it's like almost everyone that I talk to, honestly, has Darren at number 1. But the problem is that there's so much conversation between the two that, we're always talking about, like, you don't worry about fit when you've got the number 1 pick. You just take the most talented guy on the board. Well, this time there's 2 most talented guys on the board. And so fit does start to come into it a little bit. And it's not just fit of playing style. It's also, like, fit of personality, fit of what you're hoping for your team. And I think that the reason that maybe AJ is kind of seen as the most likely number 1, even though people think that Darren Peterson is maybe the most talented, is because AJ seems like he's the guy that's ready to be the star right away. And for a team that is coming from the bottom, like a Washington Wizards, they need someone to come and be the outright franchise player, no questions asked from day one. And I think that AJ has those qualities. And so there are tons of people, tons of NBA executives and scouts and pundits, everyone who do believe that Darren Peterson is the most talented. The other component of that is that there's still some information to find out through the medical report, and we'll probably find out more about that in the coming weeks.
So if we do hear of a trade, it's most likely not going to be until draft night. Would that be your guess as well?
Yeah, I would be surprised that it came before draft night, but also we have to remember, like, we've spent, 2 years now talking about how this is maybe the most talented draft class in years as far as depth of it. And we've spent so long, even just in this conversation, talking about how possibly interchangeable those top 2 picks are, even top 3, maybe top 4 picks. And so we've spent so long talking about that. There's so many NBA executives that have gathered intel and detail and stats and tape of all of these guys for so many years. If there really was a huge difference, if it was a separating factor between them, we would have heard about it before now. And so then when you think about trading, it's like, if there's so many good ones, why would you give up assets if you can just have one of them?
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I know this is tough to nail down, but if we're all sitting there on draft night and we hear that the Jazz have moved up to 1, okay, the Jazz and the Wizards found a deal, and the Jazz move up to 1, what does your gut say? What would that mean? Does that mean it's AJ?
Yeah, my gut, if they are moving up to 1, it would be to take AJ, because if for some reason they just love him so much more than Darren, that would be the reason to do it. But I really do think that anyone, not just the Jazz, let's say that anyone had the number 2 pick in this draft, I think that any team would be fine just taking whoever Washington doesn't take.
Yeah, no, and I'm with you on that one. All right, let's have a little fun. Let's say whatever the scenario is on draft night, it's AJ. Jazz get AJ DeBonsa on draft night, added to this group. $15 million with that non-taxpayer exemption to use, and we'll see what happens with Walker. I think they're bringing him back. I think you do as well. If AJ DeBonsa is the newest member of the Utah Jazz on draft night, what does next year look like?
Oh, man, I think, adding AJ to the mix definitely makes things a little bit more interesting when you're looking at that starting lineup. First of all, what does it look like? It looks huge. That's what it looks like. Because then we're talking about potentially, Ace Bailey has to come off the bench, and it's Keontae George, AJ DeBonsa, Lauri Markkanen, Jaren Jackson Jr., and Walker Kessler. It's giant. It's huge, right? And so that's what it looks like. I also think that, figuring out how those rotations are going to work and playing with that throughout the season, the starting lineup's not going to, just play together through the entirety of the game. But, who does AJ look better when he's with Jaren on the floor? Does AJ look better actually playing with Ace on the floor? And so that's all the stuff that I start thinking about. I think that with Darren, it's kind of a little bit simpler. You're either going to have him start in place of Ace or in place of Keontae, and one of those guys is going to be your sixth man. With AJ, it makes me wonder, is there any sort of confusion about whether or not Lowry's on the floor with AJ? And so I think that starts to get just a little bit muddier, not too muddy, but you do have to wonder what it's going to look like. But man, either way, the Jazz are about to get a player that looks like they can just be a multi-time all-star. I mean, both AJ and Darren look like they really have everything.
We had Kevin Reynolds on the show. I got to ask you, how did you kill 2 hours without your cell phone?
I mean, the room is full of NBA executives, and they don't have their phones either. So they're not allowed to, ignore you with a phone call. So there's plenty of people to talk to. It's easy for me. I like schmoozing and hobnobbing, so that was not a problem.
Okay, fair enough. All right, Sarah, I know you've been busy, so last thing for you. I've just got to ask, why do you write like you're running out of time?
I'll tell you, I'm nonstop.
Where can people go find your work, Sarah?
You can find everything at Deseret.com. I've got a couple of good profiles up there on Darren and on AJ DeBonsa, and so a lot of good stuff from the Combine. You can follow me on all the socials at NBA Sarah.
Sarah, thanks so much. Be well, and I'll keep a corn dog warm for you, okay?
All right. Thanks a lot, Spence.
All right, Sarah Todd from the Deseret News. She was in the room where it happened, where the lottery took place, and she just got back from the Combine. Some really good stuff in there. If you missed it, give Porter a couple of minutes. He'll have that up on the website. Now, we're live today at Murdoch Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Bountiful. It's their grand opening of their new spot. And if you missed it, first of all, free hot dog on a stick. Okay, lovely corn dog, side of fries for free, lemonade for you for free. And it is a family business. It's pretty cool. So the dad drives the truck. The mom actually is the business owner. The granddaughter will take your order, and the daughter is cooking the hot dogs. So come by and support this cute family. They're the nicest people. And get yourself a free corn dog, a free hot dog on a stick, some free fries, and some free lemonade at 755 North, 500 West in West Bountiful. But here's the other thing. They're doing what they're calling Sweepstakes Saturday tomorrow. So for now, come by and enter to win either a 1-year lease on a Jeep Wrangler or $10,000 towards the purchase of any new vehicle that's in stock. So all you have to do is come into the dealership and enter to win. They're asking to write your name down and your email address, and that's about it. So free food. You have a chance to win an entire year lease on a Jeep Wrangler or $10,000 towards the purchase of any new vehicle in stock. It's a great deal. They've got a deal right now. If you buy a new car, you get a new grill, brand new nice grill, 28-inch Blackstone grill with the purchase of any new vehicle. They've got the grill here on the showroom, and they've got this beautiful car that you can enter to win. You can lease a new Ram 1500 Bighorn for $399 a month or a new Jeep Grand Cherokee for $399 a month as well. Come on by and say hello. You got to come see us at Murdoch Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, 755 North, 500 West in Bountiful, right off the freeway. Come on by and say what's up. All right, we got Tony Parks at 4, and then Paul Pugmire at 4:30 for some PGA Championship. But coming up next, the NFL released their schedule, and I think they knocked it right out of the park. I'll let you know my thoughts on that on a Friday drive. It's good to have you along for the ride right here on ESPN 700. on this Friday afternoon edition of the program. You can't ask for much more than 75 degrees and sunny outside. It is a beautiful Friday day in May. Appreciate you guys making this show a part of your Friday. Happy Friday to you. Happy weekend to you. We're live today at Murdoch Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Bountiful, 755 North, 500 West. Come on by and say hi. Would love to see you. It's the grand opening of their new store. They've got a bunch of great deals on vehicles if you're looking to get into a new or a used car. If you buy a new car, you get a brand new grill. It's a gorgeous grill, 28-inch Blackstone grill with the purchase of any new vehicle. They've got great deals on Ram 1500 Bighorns and Jeep Grand Cherokees, new ones. And you can lease for only $399 per month. They've got 2.9 financing available here on site. They're also doing a service special that I actually did with my car. They kind of put your car through, since I'm not a doctor or a car salesman, I'm probably going to botch this, but it's like when you go into like a MRI machine, they put your car through this entire scan, and they can tell anything that you have going on, and it's $39.95 for a full synthetic oil change. They've got their Saturday car show going on tomorrow, and maybe most exciting, and let me just tease this. I think I have two names in this box, okay? You can enter to win a 1-year lease on a Jeep Wrangler or $10,000 towards the purchase of any new vehicle in stock here at Murdoch Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. All you have to do is enter your name. I think they're asking for an email, and they're going to draw a winner tomorrow. Then they'll contact you and be like, hey, come pick up your new Jeep, or you get $10,000 towards the purchase of any new vehicle in stock. But the kicker, wait for it, free hot dog on a stick. Yep, save the best for last. We got the hot dog on a stick truck out here. It's a family-owned business. Dad drives the truck. Mom runs the business. The granddaughter is taking orders. She's the cutest little girl. And then the daughter is cooking the hot dogs. And it's free. You get a free hot dog on a stick with fries on the side. And they've got ice-cold lemonade out there on this Friday afternoon. Great way to celebrate the start of the weekend. So come on by and say hi at Murdoch Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram here in Bountiful, which is 755 North, 500 West. And we're having a good time. We love to see you. I'd love to meet you, shake your hand. You know, Bountiful, it's God's country up here. So you got to come see us, as my friends Blake and Ben like to say. Porter Larson, producing the program back in the studio. As you know, I'm not a huge NFL schedule. I'm not a huge, schedule release guy, whether it's, in the middle of the NBA playoffs, NFL comes out with their schedule. When the NBA does, but I've got to say, and you tell me what you think here, the NFL, I think, really got it right this time. Okay, a few takeaways. They've had this dopey thing in the past where every team in the NFL gets a primetime game. You have to earn those. So they finally realized, the Jets don't have one, and they shouldn't. The Titans don't have one, and they shouldn't. The Browns, the Cardinals, no primetime games for those teams. And what stood out to me is I thought they nailed their holiday schedule, Thanksgiving and Christmas, and then their primetime games are excellent matchups. And the 9 international games, I think it's kind of an odd dynamic, but they're all really, really good matchups. So they understand events, they understand primetime games, and now they're really getting the holiday thing right and the primetime matchups. Let's not include any of these teams that haven't earned it yet. How closely did you follow the schedule release?
Like you, I genuinely couldn't care less on the schedule stuff. Outside of if I were to be trying to go to a game or two, play whoever, whenever, for the most part, I'll watch. That's where I land on the football scheduling part. But the NFL, as you mentioned, Spence, knows and understands the TV show. They know and they understand that is kind of their main job, right? And, like you said, a lot of primetime matchups that are going to be good teams playing against other competitive teams. I will say this, however. We always do this in the spring, and then by week 4 or 5 in the NFL season, there's 4 or 5 teams that we were talking about they weren't going to amount to anything that are good. And there's 4 or 5 teams that we thought were going to be contenders that just don't look like they did the year before. So all of that is to say that we don't really know what the schedule looks like until we see these teams on the football field. But I do think that the angle towards getting teams that currently have rosters built up to contend, primetime games, primetime slots, holiday games, and the like, it's the natural movement, and it's exactly what the NFL should be doing.
So a few things here to Porter's point, because you hear wild overreactions after the schedules come out, like the Broncos aren't going to make the playoffs and the Bears have the easiest schedule. Based off of win-loss opponents percentage from last season, yes, the Bears have the easiest schedule if you base it off of that. And then ultimately, when you look at where the Broncos landed, the Broncos are at number 6 right now. And the Broncos do have a bit of a bear to start the season. I don't think I can get, like, you hear the conspiracy theories left and right, like the the league is mad at Sean Payton for some comment he made or whatever. And of course, we have so many former Utes playing for Denver. You want to make sure that you're kind of keeping track of what they're going to do. And, the AFC West at this point, Denver is going to see a big-time difficult stretch as it pertains to the start of the season. They open up against the Chiefs. Then they get Jacksonville. Jacksonville's at home, and the Rams are at home as well. So they do have 2 home games to start out of the first 3. But they do go Kansas City, Jacksonville, Rams, Niners, Chargers, Seahawks to start the year. That's 6 games against really good teams that were in the mix, if not in the playoffs, competing for Super Bowls last year. So you've got a lot of people kind of complaining about what happened to the Broncos and whether or not, justified or what have you. But my main takeaway is just the NFL's understanding of what they need to do to dominate the landscape of sport in this country up until basically January. I mean, when you look at what they've decided to do with Thanksgiving and Christmas, like the NBA, the old walking line is the NBA starts to enter the consciousness of sports fans when it comes to Christmas time. That's when we start kind of inching away from football a little bit and looking ahead to what pro basketball could bring. But I think the NFL has found a way, and certainly all the unbelievable amount of broadcast partners they have as of now, where they can put a game on if they wanted to, Tuesday morning at 3 a.m. on Amazon Prime or whatever, we would find a way to watch based on, how much the country loves football. A lot of people think the Bengals got a really excellent schedule. The Chiefs have a really difficult stretch to end the year. And Andy Reid actually had some things to say about that earlier today. But again, as we sit here in May, I think it's really difficult. All of these overreactions earlier today about who's going to make the playoffs and who's not going to make the playoffs. As we sit here in May, I think it's really difficult to try to learn what it's going to look like. So the way that the Chiefs will finish the season, starting in Week 12, they're going to play on Thanksgiving against Buffalo. So they go Bills, Rams, Bengals, Patriots, Niners. Okay, that 5-game stretch. But they do have Jets, Falcons, Cardinals right before that. So they've got a manageable stretch before the end. And at the end of the season, there is that 5-game stretch that's really difficult. But as I was looking through most of the schedules, what stood out to me is that every team has like a 5 or a 6-game stretch that's going to be really difficult. And every team has 3 to 4 games here or there that should be really winnable. I mean, the parity in this league is something that cannot go understated unless, you're a fan of like the Jets like I am or the Titans. Cardinals haven't been good in a while. The Browns, maybe they're a little bit better this year. The Raiders, of course, they're breaking in a new quarterback. But you look at the rest of this league, a lot of new coaches here or there, and what will Harbaugh look like with the Giants, and, Mahomes coming off an injury, and all the buzz around, as I referenced a little bit earlier, what it could look like down the stretch. Dallas and their improved defense with the draft picks they made, and what the NFL is doing with, the international slate. I think if you're an NFL fan and you look at what they were able to do to capitalize on primetime games, international games, and also holidays, namely the night before Thanksgiving, Black Friday, Thanksgiving, and Christmas. And there are going to be a lot of games that aren't necessarily your classic, Monday, Thursday, Sunday. They're going to try to stretch out their calendar a little bit because, again, the goal is simply to dominate the landscape of the sporting consciousness and what the public is consuming as long as you can before the NBA kind of starts, or how much does college football take away from you? And I do have to wonder, because as I've said all the time, college football should never try to compete with the NFL. Look at this schedule and then go about your business to try to capitalize on the windows that are open. Like if there's going to be a big-time NFL – and look, there's no possible way to completely avoid some conflicts here or there because they basically play in the same window as far as the seasons go. But if you're college football, look at what the NFL just did and try to get a little bit creative about catering your calendar to when they might be a little bit quiet. Otherwise, you're just losing way too much market share, because I don't care how much you love football. It doesn't matter how much you love football. If you have some semblance of a life, you're not going to be able to watch like 3 NFL games and then, a couple of college football games. How much football can you really watch over the course of a weekend is my question. But that's always been kind of my complaint as it pertains to the way college football goes about this. Do not try to compete head-to-head with the NFL. So, based off last year's record, the Bears have the easiest schedule with, of course, Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams. We'll see if they can replicate what they did a year ago. The Niners have a really difficult stretch because of their age and injury issues. Their hardest games are down the stretch as well. But, it's hard to really dig too deep into this in May to try to understand what it's going to look like come fall. All right, we're live today. Murdoch, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, 755 North, 500 West, in West Bountiful. My guy Phil stops by once again, the GM, the big boss man. What's up, Phil? How are you?
What's up? And I think the Niners are going to do great this year.
Are you a Niners fan?
I am a Niners fan.
Okay, are you a Brock Purdy guy?
Brock Purdy is really good.
Okay.
Yes. And now you got Mike Evans, right? If the knee
Mike
holds
Evans.
up.
It's about one thing with them. It's health.
Yes.
5 straight years they've broken down.
Yes.
Because who doesn't love McCaffrey? Like they've got the pieces. They just need to stay healthy. The schedule is tough down the stretch. That's what concerns me for them.
Yes. They should be out of the gate strong. I mean, Miami should be easy. So, yeah.
Lifelong Niners guy?
Lifelong Niners guy.
Are you from the Bay Area?
From the Bay Area originally.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Then that's allowed, because I'm a Northeast guy. I love the Jets, sadly. I always find it interesting how people around here pick their teams. If you grew up in the Bay Area, you're allowed to be a Niners fan.
Try to go back to a couple games a year, but makes it tough.
Very cool. All right, Phil, it is the grand opening of this unbelievable spot. Let's just, big picture, what do you want this thing to be to the community? What are your goals here?
So we want to be the place. We want to be the number one Chrysler Jeep Dodge Ram spot in the state. Take a little bit of time. I started at this store actually as my first GM job in 2008, so it's come full circle to me. I left for about almost 20 years and then came back, and so it's been a journey, but we're super excited to be back. We've done some remodeling. We're gonna remodel the whole showroom later on this year. And just really growing it. It's important to be a part of the community. I'm super happy to be with the Murdoch family, one of the last family-owned dealership groups in the state, and it's a big deal.
So I send all of my friends here. My brother just got a Genesis. Anybody who knows me, I was like, hey, do you have any hookups in the car business? I'm like, go to the Murdochs, because I don't want you to take this the wrong way. It's a tough business to learn how to. Who do you trust, really? Right?
Yes.
So what have you found from the Murdochs that would allow you to talk to the community about why you can trust what you guys do here?
Well, I think that when you step back and you really realize it, what does it mean to buy from a family business who has people in the community who live in the market? Every dollar that we make here stays in the market. We sponsor the baseball team, big part of the community, where other companies send their profits other places or reward shareholders. We reward people here in town, and I think it's a big part. We have 50 employees, a huge shop, and with that, there's probably 150 people that are just dependent on this place going every single day. Almost $2 million we pay in sales tax alone just every single year, which is roads and upkeep, and just being a big part of the community is a big deal to us. Yeah,
I mean, I always say, like in a business where you might feel like people want to get over on you, you can go trust the Murdochs, I'll tell you that much. All right, tell us about this grill. Awesome grill. You've got it on the floor, the showroom here. If people buy a new car, what's this grill?
Buy a new car, used car, you pick up a Blackstone grill, $400 value, great opportunity. Also, we have great selection of Jeeps, great selection of trucks, brand new trucks starting under $50,000, half ton. Great truck. Also, the leases start as low as $399 a month. It's unheard of. Best incentives of any market right now.
Also offering this service special. Tell us about that.
Yeah, we have a new machine called UVI machine. It's basically like an MRI for your car. 1,500 different pictures. Come in, we scan your vehicle. Free report on that. Also, oil change start at $39.95. Full synthetic. Just bring it in. If it's not done in an hour, it's free. And I'm here to make sure it gets done.
Oh, nice.
So, yeah.
Okay, very cool. And hot dog on a stick. We got free dogs,
Yep,
right?
free dogs are here.
Very nice. Lastly, tell us about the sweepstakes. People can come in and to enter to win what?
Yes, so tomorrow we have a big car show in the morning. Starts at 9 a.m. That's going to be going at 2 o'clock. We actually have our Jeep Wrangler on the showroom floor. We are giving that away for 1 year. So you get to drive it for a year. It's yours. Or if you say, hey, listen, I want to do something different, we'll do $10,000 towards the purchase of any of our new cars that we have here in stock.
There you go. But you got to come in and enter to win. Phil, you're
Yes.
the man. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
So here's the address. It's 755 North, 500 West in West Bountiful. Very easy to find. It's right off the freeway. We're probably within 10 to 15 minutes of anywhere you're at right now. So enter to win. You can drive this beautiful new Jeep for a year for free with no obligation, or they're going to give you $10,000 towards the purchase of a new car. Grab the kids and come get a free hot dog and fries, a free drink. Come on by and say what's up. 755 North, 500 West here in West Bountiful. 2 hours down, 2 hours to go. My buddy Tony Parks will join us coming up next on ESPN 700. at Murdoch Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, 755 North, 500 West. Here in West Bountiful, come on by and say hi. You can enter to win a 1-year lease on a Jeep Wrangler. The Jeep Wrangler is sitting here on the showroom floor. So if they draw your name, you literally just take it. You're like, sweet, I'm going to drive this for a year for free. Or they're going to give you $10,000 towards the purchase of any new vehicle in stock. All you have to do is come by and enter your name into the box. They're going to draw the name tomorrow during their Saturday car show here at the store. So come on by, 755 North, 500 West in West Bountiful. Also, free hot dog on a stick. I may have buried the lead. I just went out and met the family that's running this truck. They're super nice people. The dad drives it. The mom runs the business. The granddaughter takes your order, and the daughter cooks the hot dog. It's actually darling, and I never use that word. 755 North, 500 West in West Bountiful. You know who else is darling? It's my next guest. Tony Parks, voice of the Bees. What's up, dude? How are you?
Well, I'm great, man. Awesome. Friday at the ballpark. Beautiful day. Love that the weather's starting to cooperate. I know it's going to get weird Sunday, but overall, couldn't be happier, man. No other place I'd rather be.
Give me an update on the Bees. What are the main storylines right now? How's the ballpark? How have the crowds been? I want all of it, Tone. Lay it on me.
Yeah, I mean, the crowd's been fun, man. They've been here, they've been active, and they've had a lot to cheer about. I mean, this team has been as good as you can ask an offense to be in the month of May. Last night was the outlier. They were 0 for 9 with runners in scoring position, lost a 3-2 game. But before that, I mean, it was just a barrage of offense, Spence. I mean, 11 runs one night, 12 runs another night. This is a group that feels like any inning they could give, put up a 3 or 4 spot. They got a guy in Denzer Guzman who is red hot. And this guy, the Angels been excited about him. But, I mean, this dude's worth the price of admission, man. He goes out there, batting .426 in the month of May, 5 doubles and 3 homers, and, has back-to-back 3-run homers and back-to-back innings. And just it's cool because, obviously, the ball flies well here. But they have the weapons up and down. The 7, 8, 9 part of the order is the best in the league. I mean, you have, 2-time World Series champion Chris Taylor. You've got Nick Madrigal, who was a terrific talent. Jose Siri. I mean, as good as he is, a lot of times he's batting 7th in this order. I mean, that's how loaded it is. And so, for fans who love to come out to the game, and obviously they want, great family-friendly entertainment, but you also want to be entertained with the product on the field. And I don't think they can have a better value for their dollar with the way these guys are swinging the bat. So it makes it fun.
Where can people go get more information? Do you have any cool nights coming up you want to promote?
Yeah, man. Hey, we have, soccer night coming up next week. That'll be a big deal. We'll have some of the Real Salt Lake and RSL or Royals players that'll be here. Tonight's golf night. Military Appreciation Night is tomorrow night. That's a good one, man. The weather's going to be great. And that's the one where you want to get there early, Spence. Wonderful tributes before the game, to those who protect our freedoms. Great support towards the families. Can't say enough of our game presentation staff with Katie Brotherson and Brecken Johnson, and also everybody from Kim Brown to Ashley Havili, who kind of really put it together to where, it's not just a presentation. I mean, it has all the feels that you want in terms of truly having, touching tributes to those who go out there and protect our freedoms every day. So well before the game, get here for all of that. And then after the game, they have the drone show, which will be a lot of fun. And then the kids get to run around the bases after the game. So if you come to a game this weekend, pick any of them, but especially Saturday, I think you won't be disappointed with, the wonderful entertainment that you're going to have here.
It's that website, Tone. How can people get more info?
Oh, yeah, slbees.com. That's where you go, man. And even check out the Bees Baseball Pass, $30. You get a ton of tickets for different games all throughout the season. So take a look at that, especially if you want to come regularly, man. We have great ticket packages, great deals, and obviously awesome promotions throughout the season. We know you always have your favorites throughout the year, and, we'll always have those right on tap, fireworks nights, drone shows. Just make sure to take a look and enjoy, everything we have coming up. Star Wars night, Princess night, minor league baseball, man, it's full of that. And Wednesdays, you're going to have the dirty sodas where you get the dirty soda drinks for $3, and you'll probably end up with them for free. All they have to do is score 4 runs, and everybody gets free dirty sodas. So, man, it's just we've got everything you're going to want right here. So slbees.com. Come on out and join us.
Wait. If they score 4 runs, everyone gets a free dirty soda?
Yeah. I'm like, and with this offense, that happened in 1 inning. So that was done, man. Everybody had a free dirty soda, and it's a blast. And they have all the varieties that you're going to want. I had what's called a hula girl. It's got
yeah, you did.
Sprite in it and some coconut and all of that. You know, man, we're really living it up when it comes to the fun dirty sodas atmosphere. Swiggy, the new mascot. Man, it's a good time, man. And the fun part about it is you can tell just how much the kids love kind of the new features and all the great interactive opportunities that are here. So you really can't go wrong.
Tony, you're laying a lot on me. Hold on a second. Did you say the new mascot is Swiggy?
Swiggy, bro. Yeah.
Is it like a soda that walks around?
Yeah, it's like a soda that walks around. I mean, the funnest part about the alternate identity, right? So first of all, original. It's something that connects to the state. Obviously, we're having our sights set on a major league team here someday. Everybody knows that. Everything we do is to major league standard. And then we have this alternate identity, the Utah Dirty Sodas. We have the jackets, the hats, the T-shirts. I need to hook you up with some gear on this. And what's cool about all of that is it's reminding you that, okay, we'll still do minor league. We don't do small time, but we'll still have some fun with everything that is minor league. So as we have a minor league identity, it would be something like Swig that is very much connected to, you know, the state of Utah and the dirty sodas and all of that. So that is our, I guess you could say, the alternate identity, which is the Utah Dirty Sodas. And so Swiggy is a huge part of it. And Swiggy can dance. Don't ignore Swiggy's dancing ability.
The big question is, and you have to tell me the truth, is Vinny C actually Swiggy?
No, but they are working towards creating the Vinny C Swig drink. That is coming along. So each victory, we name a new dirty soda. One of them was Walk Off on the Rocks, and I had it in the final call because we won by a walk-off. The other one was the Dirty Dozen because they scored 12 runs in that ball game, in that victory. So somewhere along the line, you know the Vinny C is coming in. I think it'll have vanilla. I think it'll have Diet Coke. What else would be in the Vinny C? Spence?
Just a bunch of awesomeness.
Here's a bunch of, I mean, you have raved about the talent that is and the overlooked legendary skill, talent, ability. And I know that you found it a shame that it was not catapulted to the level of performance that you thought it deserved.
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about doing things like major leagues, and if you want to do things like the big boys do, then make a Vinny C dirty soda. And I'll tell you, if I find out that you've created a Vinny C dirty soda, I will drop whatever I'm doing that night and drive straight to the ballpark.
I guarantee you would. Nobody was a bigger fan. And I mean nobody was a bigger fan than you. We all knew. And I'm sorry, we're still trying to put together the theme night. But when we do, you're going to be there. Love it.
All right, Tom. I'm going to have to wrap my mind around. And look, you have to do things like that, right? To like the Savannah Bananas or, the minor league approach. To your point, the Millers are very serious about Major League Baseball in Utah. And believe me, there's nothing more than I would love during the summer calendar. I love our soccer club, but to add a baseball team would be so cool. But during that process, to your point, you've got to find creative ways to get people's attention. I mean, anyone who's ever been part of creating a team and then trying to generate interest, there are some days where like, how are we going to do this? You got to get creative.
Yeah, you got to get creative. So here's where I think the fine line gets in there. And I've been involved in the marketing side and game presentation. And I said it 1,000 times, like, look, we will do minor league creative, drone shows, fireworks shows, the produce race. Like, there's a lot of fun stuff that we can do. The Chick-fil-A K, when we had that was a huge deal, Things like that make it really fun, and it connects the fans and the community. And so to me, the Dirty Soda certainly fits into that. And Nicole Tanner, who's such a great story about, her idea to build a business like that, and then she defeats cancer, and then she goes on to, help really develop a lot of young people into being great leaders. I think she's as good a story as anybody. So it really brings it full circle with Swig and the Dirty Sodas. So that stuff's fun. there was a team recently, and I forget who, and they decided to do nothing night. No music, no promotions, nothing at all, like literally nothing. It was plain Jane, no PA. And to me, okay, sure, you got a reaction on social media. To me, that's small time. To me, that's not creative. To me, that's dopey and weird, and that's not really what we're trying to get done here. So what I think we've done a wonderful job is understanding there's major league focus on the things we can control. We still have to have minor league creativity on theme nights and some fun little traditions and things like that. And then at the same time, we don't move into, the first 1,000 people get a free paperclip and then trying to somehow justify that as a good idea, because it's just not. And we don't need to go into some of the history of minor league promotions in this state, not involving the Salt Lake Bees, that have garnered very negative attention in the past. But we do understand that there is a line between that. And I think we have really mastered what it takes to garner attention, to drive what is a high-level experience for the fan, and also have that wonderful creative connection for the kids, for the family, and everything that is minor league baseball.
What's the update on the process here? I know Manfred, last year, 5-6 months ago or something, said the expansion probably not on the table until the new CBA kicks in. What is that, 28, 29? Yeah. I just have not heard much since then. Tony, what's the update?
No. So it's kind of like, remember when BYU was doing everything they could to get in the Big 12, right? And you had to wait for realignment with conferences. And so people used to say all the time, well, what does BYU have to do? It's like, put yourself in the best position possible so that when the dominoes start to shift and fall, if you will, that you're in the best spot possible to then be in a power conference. And that's what BYU did, and they did a really nice job. And it was always misunderstood, like, oh my gosh, they need to win this game against, fill-in-the-blank Power 5 team so they can show that they belong. And it was so crazy how misunderstood it was. With this is what the Larry H. Miller family and the entire company has done exceptionally well. They have the site ready. They have all of the headaches removed. Now, you still have some other, business to handle whenever expansion is, acknowledged, and whenever they decide what city is going to have it. They want to go one east, they want to go one west. And Las Vegas already has a team, and now you have competition among other teams in the West. I know Vancouver's been in the mix, and Portland, and, those conversations are going to continue to go on. To me, there are fewer question marks, far fewer, when it comes to Salt Lake. You have the place that it's going to happen. You have the ownership. You have the support of those in the community that are going to help hit the ground running. They've done a magnificent job behind the scenes to say, how many things can we control now so that if this happens, we remove as many headaches as possible and we're ready to go full speed ahead. And I think that that's something they've done. That's all you can do. And so I think no city and no ownership group has done a better job at that or could do a better job at that than they have. And so now it's kind of part of the waiting game, and when the new CBA hits and they want to expand, that is going to be a fabulous situation where Salt Lake, I think, is in the best place possible. And the biggest thing you do, and it's the same thing for the game of baseball, you control what you can control to give yourself the best odds for success. It's never a guarantee. And what Salt Lake has done, what the ownership has done, I think what local officials have done has been magnificent to really put this team and this city and everything together in the best place possible. You have your AAA affiliate, which would be here in Daybreak. So if a major league team comes in Salt Lake, you have your AAA team here in Daybreak. That's already set. You need to find a few other minor league cities and stuff. You'd have to figure out, your spring training facility, all of that. But these guys have been, with their, their nose to the ground, and they have been really working tirelessly to make sure that they polish and see around every corner possible so that when it comes up, they are advanced, as far advanced as they could be. And, Spence, that's all you can do in the meantime.
All right, Tone, let's move over to a pretty exciting development regarding the Utah Jazz. And just been a tough 4-year stretch. They've been trying to find their way after deciding to move on from Donovan and Rudy and all that stuff. And there have been some minor wins along the way, all-star game for Lauri Markkanen. There's some signs with growth, at least offensively, with Keontae. a good trade for a good player in Jaren Jackson Jr., but the one thing they haven't been able to find, and if we're being fair, the hardest thing in this sport to find is the guy that could be a linchpin and a top 10, 15 type player to put them into an area where maybe they're competing for something special. Now, there is still a marathon to go between where they're at now and where teams like Oklahoma City and San Antonio are. But I'm sitting on my couch watching the lottery, and I'm like, man, they get 2, and here we go. Now, we would love 1, but let's not get greedy. We move up to 2. Last time they drafted 2, a guy named Darrell Griffith turned out to be pretty good. But what are your thoughts on this dynamic, and what do you think the Jazz will look to do come June 23rd?
Well, first of all, I think it's great that they had a stroke of luck there. They really have deserved it, to be honest with you, because this past year, I think they've made some terrific moves. I'm not going to tout the first 3 years of this. I didn't think it was all that well done. Quite honestly, I don't even really know what to tell you about the first 3 years. But this last year, there's been clarity about direction. There's been clarity about forward momentum, like something like the Jackson move. Clearly, they knew what they were doing on trying to increase their odds to have as good a pick as possible. They signed their coach to a 6-year deal, admitting it's not him, it's us, and that, I think, was great. You got to be honest. They surrounded him with a great staff, guys who've been head coaches, who know how to serve head coaches, and so now there's alignment there. And then the other thing they've done is they have young players who've been able to show you something positive, and the future is very bright, not just because they're young, but because they were productive. Now, as you mentioned, you look for that guy who ends up being franchise-changing, and you have a pick that puts you in the position to do that. So much can happen between now and then. The biggest thing now is if you have that guy and you know he's that guy, you do what it takes to get him. And if you feel like you have either one of them that gets you that, then you take the one at 2. But if you feel like there's only one, you need to go on and get him, and you need to do what it takes to make it happen. So for the Utah Jazz, they've done so many wonderful things. I think Austin Ainge deserves a lot of credit. There were tweaks that were needed. I mean, there's just no doubt that this past year I thought was very different. The wins and losses are one thing, but now clarity and direction, and it's very obvious that they, have a great plan going forward. You get that guy, Spence, and now you can really start to ingrain defensive culture and identity consistently. Now the accountability level goes up in a different way. Now it's not just about development, but let's develop and win and start to show that there's something real to what we're building here with the young guys who are progressing at a big moment. So to me, a lot's going to happen between now and the draft. The biggest thing that I think is great is now you have, a coaching staff and a front office. They know what they're looking for. They know how to identify what they're looking for. Now it comes down to making the right pick and picking the right guy. And we've seen misses this high in the draft. We've seen hits this high in the draft. And when you catch that kind of break, you'd hate to see them miss in that situation. But obviously they still have a lot of other assets to work with in the future. But just because you have room for error doesn't mean it doesn't mean that you don't do everything necessary to find that right guy. And so the Jazz have the chance to do that. This is why you had all the losing. This is why you ended up with the number 2 pick. And it's because you bet on yourself to make the right choice once you got into this position. So it's on them to now make that selection and make the losing and the pain tolerance, if you will, tolerable. And the only way you do it is by getting this pick right. And so they have had a formula in the past there with Boston that was successful, and they believe they have the ability to do it now.
So you know the narratives that are out there surrounding AJ. And look, the other really cool thing, about where we find ourselves is this draft cycle for the Jazz is historic for a number of different reasons. Number one, it's simple. You moved up. Okay, it took 12 tries, but you moved up. That's number one. Okay, you got to 2. It's as high as you've drafted in a long time. So that's number one, and it's the biggest piece. But number 2, you have 2 of the top 3 prospects that have legitimate ties to our market. Now, some people are diminishing that as important. Some people are dismissing that as part of the storyline. I'm not one of those people. Austin Ainge, after the lottery, said, we want this young prospect to be with us for a decade. And I don't think that was accidental. I don't think that was just because that's talking to Jazz fans about Gordon Hayward, Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert, and the other players that have elected to leave our market when the Jazz wanted them to stay. I think that's intentional. So whether it's AJ or Cameron Boozer, those are the two guys that have ties to us here. How important do you think that dynamic will be as it pertains to kind of this tapestry of their decision-making process?
Yeah, so the ties to the place is one thing, right? To me, I think it's so interesting watching people in their profession, and I've watched this with professional athletes. I've watched this with people in our industry. I've watched this in any industry. I worked in the financial industry there for a little while. I find it so intriguing when someone loves what they do, they love how good they are at it, and they would really prefer to do it somewhere else. Or they'd prefer to do it with other people in terms of what it is that their profession is. And I've watched it happen. Now, it doesn't mean they're not successful, doesn't mean that they're not blossoming, but it means they're not as good for the overall big picture in the team as they would be if they were in a situation where they were wanting to win with and for who they're around. Like the people they're around, do they want to win with them and for them? And some people go, oh, that stuff doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you're a professional. It's like, no, you're going to show up and you're going to be the best you can be. But are you going to be the best player for your team? And some players like Tim Duncan go to San Antonio and they're like, yeah, it doesn't matter where I'm at. I'm going to go be that. And for other guys, that stuff actually makes a difference to them. So the biggest thing when he says something like that, any of these guys can go out there and be a legendary type talent. But are they a legendary type talent that wants to have the appropriate amount of influence on the entire organization? And is this a place where their heart actually is? And if it actually isn't, they'll still go play well, like, say, Carlos Boozer did when he was playing before, or Gordon Hayward, or even, for that matter, Donovan Mitchell to a point. But if they would actually rather be somewhere else, they're fine with Utah. But, it isn't their press. It doesn't matter what you want to say. There is some mild, at very least mild, diminishing return to that. And what it does is lowers the chances of your elite level success. Remember, you're not just trying to get a talent to get better. You're trying to win a championship someday. And so those inches become miles when you're trying to become a championship team. So to me, that stuff actually is important, not just because of the ties. Like, I don't care if Devontae is from here. If he didn't or played here, if he doesn't want to be a member of the Jazz or playing for the Jazz is fine, but he'd really rather be somewhere else, then no, there's a drawback. And I'm not saying that's how he feels. I'm just simply giving an example of it. So the ties to here is one thing. My big thing is, are you emotionally invested as well as personally wanting to win here, play here, and is this where you want to be? Because if it's not, there will be a subtle part of you that actually takes away from what this organization is trying to get done.
Before I set you loose, it's interesting. For a long time, Washington, who has the number one overall pick, it was as bad of an organization that the league had. And it was like, is this ownership who's running the team? That's not the case anymore. Michael Winger is running that team. He has ties to Oklahoma City. Will Dawkins was with the Spurs. Travis Schenck was with the Hawks. I mean, they've got three really sharp NBA executives. So this is like, if the Jazz want to pay for number one, these guys are going to make them pay for number one. And with AJ coming out, to your point, talking about his desire now, it does in a way show the cards of the Utah Jazz, where these guys can now do to Danny what Danny usually does to others, which is, okay, if you want this pick, then it's going to cost you everything. So just give me your thoughts on, if Washington has done the calculation, like we're taking AJ and the Jazz badly want AJ, what sounds like a fair deal to just swap picks and move up, in your opinion?
Oh, man. I mean, if you're Washington, you're definitely going to want to swap picks, and then you're going to want to get future assets to go with it. Because if you're Washington and you're saying, we'll take either one, right? But let's say deep down Utah wants one guy in particular, you're going to leverage that out as high as you can and for as long as you can. And if a deal ever got done, it would be a draft day deal. It would be an 11th hour deal where, right before the draft, the Jazz trade up and then switch, and then they get the guy that they want. And where Washington needs to hold back is they need to make it very clear they don't really care who that they're going to pick. Especially to know that, say, Utah absolutely wants him. If that ends up being the case, this is something they need to keep in mind. And if you're the Jazz, I think as you go throughout your evaluation, you need to be able to look at it and say, okay, if we ended up not having him, like let's say you have your draft board 1, 2, whatever it looks like, and you say, okay, how far down is that 2? Is it just simply these are 6s and we preferably have him, but we're just as good with the other? And you go through it and you evaluate that. And at the end of the day, if you're okay to just take 2 and Diabance's not that guy, you're all right with it. And so I find it interesting with the way that the Jazz now have to evaluate that, because I say do what it takes to get him, but at the same time, you do have to be a bit smart about what you want to build in the future, because one miss, you don't want to make one draft miss be something that ends up, costing you even worse than what you had thought before. So Washington, knowing what they know, if I was them, I would make the price tag very hefty. And if I was the Utah Jazz, I would be fully okay to pick number 2 and take what is a dynamic, franchise-changing type player. But the biggest thing you have to find in your evaluation is whether or not that guy wants to be there. Also, the reaction of AJ at the draft lottery. And, I like to read body language. I don't believe everything about it. But, boy, I didn't get this juiced-up, pumped-up feeling about going and playing for the Washington Wizards. And so, in no way, I'm sorry, man, that had Eli Manning vibes to San Diego in every way when it was presented to me in that way. I mean, is body language and facial language everything? No. But if it communicates something, it didn't communicate excitement, enthusiasm, and, hey, man, I'm ready to ball with whoever takes me number 1, because it didn't show.
Telling you're the man. Give Swiggy a high five for me tonight, will you?
Will do, man. I look forward to it, and I can't wait to be on the air Monday. I look forward to hosting the show. It's going to be a good time.
Yeah, thanks as always. Tony's going to be filling in for me on Monday, just so you know. I want to let you know that IFA Country Stores has everything you need to care for your lawn, no matter its size or shape. Their 4+ lawn care program can promote healthy green lawn for you this summer. They're the same products used at many local sports fields, golf courses, and city parks. More at IFA.coop. Live today at Murdoch, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram here in Bountiful, 755 North, 500 West. Free hot dogs. Not going to bury the lead. Hot dog on a stick. My guy is out here with his entire family running a family business. The husband drives the truck. The wife runs the business. The granddaughter takes your order. And then the daughter cooks the dog. Side of fries. All in the house. Come on by. 755 North, 500 West in Bountiful. They're doing what's called Sweepstakes Saturday, so you can enter to win a 1-year lease on a Jeep Wrangler. The Jeep is sitting here in the showroom. If they pull your name, you just drive it off the lot. Like, hey, it's yours for a year, no obligation, or $10,000 towards the purchase of any new vehicle. So if you're in the market for a new vehicle, come enter to win. All you have to do is put your name in this little box right here. And they're going to draw the winner tomorrow at 755 North, 500 West in Bountiful. Come on by and say hello. All right, we'll catch a break. Round 2 of the 108th PGA Championship is underway right now. Most of the golfers are in the clubhouse. We'll give you a leaderboard update, and we'll bring in Paul Pugmire to talk some golf before we get to the final hour of the show on ESPN 700. We are live today at Murdoch Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Bountiful, 755 North, 500 West. Come on by and say what's up. We got free hot dog on a stick. The truck is in the house. You can enter to win a 1-year lease on a Jeep Wrangler or $10,000 towards the purchase of any new vehicle in stock. All you have to do is enter your name in the little box. They're going to draw a winner tomorrow, so come on by and say what's up. The 108th PGA Championship is going on right now. Round 2 nearly in the book. Still some golfers on the course, and Paul Pugmire stops by to break it all down. Paul, the PGA Championship is going on. Why are you on the radio with me?
Exactly, right? What's the matter with me?
I don't know, man. I'll tell you what, this golf course is set up to punch these guys in the mouth, isn't it?
I love this. Yes, it is. Absolutely. It is making them earn what they get. And if they don't earn anything, it doesn't give them anything. And that's the way championship golf should be.
Okay, so tell me about this track. I had honestly never heard of it. And tell us kind of, historically speaking, the way the PGA of America likes to set up this event.
Yeah, so first of all, it's completely reasonable that you would not have heard of Aronimink. It goes in and out of the public awareness. There have been major championships there before. Back in the day, Gary Player won a PGA championship on that course. The President's Cup has been there. A couple of PGA Tour stops have been there. But then they go dark, and they're outside of the public view for years at a time. This course has significant history. It is one of the courses designed by Donald Ross, who is the most prolific, probably the most influential architect of all time. And he called this his masterpiece. Even though he was based down of Pinehurst, North Carolina, was responsible for a great many courses in that part of the world, including Pinehurst number 2, he said Aronimink was his best work. And it is showing all of its teeth this week. It uses slopes very well, very aggressively, both on the fairways and on the greens. You can be on the fairway and out of position. You can be on the putting surface and out of position. It is just a magnificent golf course that is playing to its full strength right now. And a birdie, boy howdy, you got to earn it. And pars will win this golf tournament.
So I was listening to some interviews throughout the course of the start of this week before the tournament started. And on the Golf Channel, like Chambly and those guys, and then the golfers that were interviewed, there was a lot of like, well, wait a second. No, we feel like we can go low here. We feel like this course is something where we can, like maybe 15 to 18 under wins the tournament. That was the pre-tournament sentiment. Why do you think it's been as challenging as it has been to most of these guys?
In the past, there have been events there where the course was not set up well, not set up aggressively, let's say that. And there have been low scores shot on that course. So I think there was a bias toward previous experience. PGA of America has made it clear they want none of that. The greens are firm, baby. They are firm. And they're rolling at about 13, and the rough is up. And again, all of these fairways are sloped. One thing to look for is how many times you see a player one step into the rough. It isn't like they blew it sideways. They hit the ball down the fairway, and then it just took the slope and ran into the rough. This rough is very healthy, and it is penal. And so I think players just underestimated the way this course is set up and how firm the greens are, and gave a little too much credence to what has been done there in the past when it wasn't set up to its full potential. But this is full metal jacket Aronimink, and we're seeing it.
Do we have any local players in the field? I'm not seeing anyone.
No.
I don't think we do.
No, we don't.
No. And how many golfers are in the field? There's like 156 golfers.
Yeah, 156. This is an absolutely a full field event. It it's got a cut, 60 in ties. It comes tonight, and so this is an old school, old fashioned format for a championship golf tournament. And yeah, I'm a grumpy old man, I know that, but that's the way championship golf should be played. It's simply been proven too many times over the years that this is how you identify a champion.
So Tony Finau can't make a tournament where there's 156 golfers in it?
Nope, he did not make the
Jeez.
field this year. He's been scruffling, and he's come close. Actually, he's picking things up, and I expect to see him have a stronger latter half of the season. But no, he didn't qualify, didn't get in.
So what's left for him this year? I mean, what tournaments does he get access to the rest of the way this year?
Sure, he's got a couple of majors left. However, the opportunities to play his way into the U.S. Open are limited at this point. He'll have to do so during the longest day of golf, the Monday qualifier following the Memorial Tournament. 36 holes one day. That will really test Tony's surgically repaired foot that we've asked about throughout the spring, and we don't yet have an answer to. And then there's the rest of the PGA Tour season. He's in his positioning in the FedEx Cup standings right now is such that if he has a couple of reasonably strong weeks, he can play his way into good opportunities the rest of the year.
Not to look too far ahead, but on October the 1st through October the 4th, there's a tournament called Bank of Utah Championship, played at a golf course that I'm actually playing tomorrow, Paul. We'll get there in a moment. But we might see Tony in our local PGA tournament, yeah?
Absolutely, we will. The field's not announced yet, but I sure hope so. I don't mean to interrupt your questioning here, but I want to hear about you playing Black Desert. I'll be in St. George tomorrow. Can I come watch?
Yeah, you're more than welcome to join us. I mean, look, I am biting off more than I can chew, and the reason is I have a friend. You know what? I'm going to call him out on air. He's not my friend. His name is Elliot Fall. He used to be the general manager of RSL. And Elliot is a very good golfer. He's been playing his entire life. He has copious amounts of time on his hands, so he plays all the time. And so he's like, let's go play in the Mid-Am qualifier at Green Springs Golf Course on Monday of next week. And I said, you go play, dude. Like, you're the one that should be going to play. He wouldn't play unless we signed up, so I'm going to play in the Mid-Am qualifier on Monday down at Green Springs, and in preparation, We're playing Black Desert tomorrow, and then Green Springs on Sunday, because I've never played the course before.
Nice. Oh, I'm so glad to hear that. You'll have a great time.
What do you know about Green Springs Golf Course?
Green Spring is a City of Washington course. It winds over a couple of arroyos that cut holes in half or go parallel to holes. It wants you to hit the ball straight. There's no question. And it'll slap you upside the head if you don't. The course is always in good shape, and it's a load of fun. I like Green Spring a lot.
You said they want you to hit it straight?
Yep.
Oh, dear. Well, that's not good. What are you doing down in St. George?
This weekend is the Copper Rock Championship. It's an Epson Tour event. Epson Tour, of course, is the Corn Ferry for the women. That is to say, AAA for the women playing their way toward the LPGA Tour. So this is some of the really great up-and-coming women players in the world. They've all gathered in Hurricane, St. George area this weekend, and they're playing the Copper Rock Championship. And we will be doing Utah Golf Radio from Copper Rock in the morning.
Lovely. I am honestly more excited to play Black Desert than I am for this tournament. I love that golf course. Let's just reset for listeners that haven't been down there. How would you articulate what that experience is like?
Let's start with its history. Black Desert was the final design project of the great Tom Weiskopf, one of the great players, one of the great architects. and it was his final project before he passed away from cancer. It is worthy of his name and of his legacy. It is a test for the PGA players, but it is fun for regular guys like you and me. Black Desert is absolutely an achievement, and it should be enjoyed and savored by everybody who can.
All right, let's get back. A couple minutes left, and we'll find out what else is on the show tomorrow. So Aldrich Potgieter is your leader at 5 under. I think he's your leader. I mean, he fell back because he had a bogey. Maybe I need to update the scoreboard.
Yeah, look for Maverick McNeely.
You're right. No, Potgieter had a bogey on 17. So Maverick McNeely is 5 under through 16, 4 under on the day. If he finds one more birdie, he'll tie Goddard up for the low round. What do you make of Maverick atop the leaderboard?
I like what's happening here. And look at those 3 names you just listed, Potgieter, McNeely, and Goddard. Each of these is a player on the verge of stardom. And each of these players just needs to go grab being a star. They all have the characteristics of star power, but they haven't yet stepped into the spotlight, into the limelight. And this could be the week that they do that. And there's a couple of others as well. Min Woo Lee fits that category. He's a couple shots back. He could grab it this weekend and become the star that he has the potential to be. The PGA Championship has a history of being the first major that people win as then they go on to significant careers. We've seen that happen several times over the course of the history of the PGA Championship. And so that is one thing that very well could be happening right in front of us this week, and it's fun to watch. On the other hand, you look at that leaderboard and you scan down. You don't have to go very far before you've got a handful of really accomplished, proven major championship winners. You've got Scheffler, Schauffele, Reed, Matsuyama. You've got players who have proved they can walk through the crucible. And so you've got to take all them seriously, too. One thing to note is this is the most compressed leaderboard in the history of major championships. At the end of round 1 yesterday, there were 48 players within 3 shots of the lead. That's the most ever. This could just go any direction over the weekend.
Help me understand the Michael Block attention. Due respect, because I can remember, 3-4 years ago when somehow, some way he made it and everyone's like, this is historic. And then you listen to him talk and you're like, maybe you go back to whatever it was you were doing before. And now he's back in the mix and he's getting more attention. What's the big Michael Block storyline?
Well, the context is that he's a club professional in Southern California. He plays his way into this tournament by finishing in the top 20 of the Club Professionals Championship, and he's done it several times. There is no question that Michael Block has game. He is a superb player, but he's one of these players who is just on the edge of being a really great club pro player and not quite good enough to get into the tour. And that's where he's lived for a long time. And so he ends up playing his way into the PGA Championship each year. Keep in mind, the PGA Championship is run by PGA of America, which is the Club Pros organization. And so he plays his way in, and then he gets there and he plays well. He's done it more than once, and it's not a surprise. He's a heck of a good player. It's kind of, the story has kind of worn itself out, to be candid. At this point, it should be, this is a good player, and he's played his way in. Let's see how he's doing. And he shot even par on Thursday. Heck, a good score. But that's all. And this was aided by when the PGA was at Oak Hill a couple of years ago. He slam dunked a 7-iron from a $180, flew it into the cup on the fly, and that's kind of legend stuff. And so it was very cool that he did it. But that video will live forever.
The statement Paul just made of the story wearing itself out is as close as I'll ever get to him being mean to a golfer on the tour. So let's move on. All right, before we find out what's on the show, tell me, you just referenced the condensed leaderboard. How low are you willing to go about who can still win the thing?
I would really like to see a score that is in single digits under par. I like that the very most. because it's not like, reaching back in history when Hill Irwin won a U.S. Open at +7, and there was a great book written by one of the SI guys called Massacre at Winged Foot about that. It's not that, and you don't want to see guys just get beat about the head and neck. But I also don't like it when it goes stupid low. And so if there's a score around -10, I think that would be best. Probably, though, somebody's going to get to -12.
All right, Paul, what's coming up on the show tomorrow?
Well, we're going to be doing a lot of Copper Rock Championship stuff. There's some interesting things going on there. Utah high school girl named Navy Hubbs. She's a junior at Salem High. She not only played her way into this tournament, she's got 1 foot over the cut line right now. She very well could be playing tomorrow. So that's going on. Haley Sturgeon has made the cut. Haley, of course, local Utah pro, and that's a lot of fun. We're going to be doing a lot of Copper Rock stuff. And we're going to be doing some updates on things that are happening in college golf. It is, it's conference championship season, and so we've got a lot of that going on as well.
Thank you, sir. Safe travels, and I'll text you when I'm down there, okay?
Love it. Thank you so much, Spencer.
Paul Pugmire, live today, Murdoch, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, 755 North, 500 West in West Bountiful. My guy Phil stops by once again. You look like you might be a golfer.
Not a golfer.
Not a golfer.
Once a year.
Once a year.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I know Blake's into it.
Blake and Ben are very good golfers. So
yeah, I bet.
Those guys,
Okay. All right. Yeah, we're talking a little PGA, but let's talk new cars. Brand new space, brand new location, grand opening. What do you want our listeners to know?
Obviously, West Bountiful, we're to have a kind of a facelift on the dealership. Grand opening yesterday. Big events coming. The best deals ever. Got hot dogs for everybody coming by. Tomorrow at 2, we got the car show in the morning, which got about 60 cars will be here tomorrow. 2 o'clock tomorrow, we're giving away a 1-year lease on a brand new Jeep Wrangler, or $10,000 towards the purchase of a brand new vehicle. Also, every new used vehicle that you purchase, you get Blackstone.
Very nice.
Yes,
and it's not just
excited.
any Blackstone grill, by the way.
It's a nice one.
It's top shelf.
Yes.
So it's 28 inches. They've got kind of an example here on the showroom. And that's the Jeep that people are entering to win. They can just drive it off the lot, and it's theirs for a year.
Good to go. Just sign a few things and make sure that we can process it for you, get the plates on it, and it's yours.
Or $10,000 towards the purchase of a new car.
Yes.
And
it's basically 50% off a brand new car, too.
And all they have to do is come in, enter to win.
Yeah, come in, enter to win. We'll get you hooked up.
755 North, 500 West. Before I sell you loose, tell me about the deals you have going on the Ram 1500 and the Jeep Grand Cherokee.
So Ram 1500 have 2 great deals right now. Over $11,000 off any Rebel, or $399 a month on a lease. So we have great deals on those things. Also, something that just got announced today, Jeep Gladiator, $12,000 off.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's something that just came over the wire. It's pretty amazing. Have some great traction on those. Great selection. I think I have 30 to choose from. Come by, pick out anyone. We'll definitely hook you up.
You're the man. Thanks for stopping by,
Appreciate
okay?
it.
Come on by. I'm telling you guys, okay? Free hot dogs, so grab the kids and come get some food. Side of fries, side of lemonade if you'd like. And then I think I've got 4 or 5 names in this box, so you have an excellent chance to win the 1-year lease on a Jeep Wrangler or $10,000 towards the purchase of any new vehicle that is in stock here at Murdoch. 755 North, 500 West, here in West Bountiful. West Bountiful, as they like to say, you got to come see us. 3 hours down, 1 hour to go. Final hour of the program on a Friday is next on ESPN 700. All right, what's going on? Drive at 5 time, Friday afternoon style. 5 minutes past the hour of 5 o'clock. How do you like 72 degrees and sunny here in, we're in Bountiful today. Porter is back in the studio, downtown Salt Lake City, Utah. We're live today at Murdoch Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. The address is 755 North, 500 West here in West Bountiful. We are right off the freeway. You cannot miss us. Happy Friday to you. Congratulations. You made it. It is time for the weekend. They've got a brand new location out here that I'd love for you guys to come see with a bunch of good deals. If you buy a new car, you get a brand new Blackstone grill. Beautiful 28-inch Blackstone grill. They're offering leases on 2026 Ram 1500 Bighorns and Jeep Grand Cherokees for $399 a month. They've got a service special going on right now at $39.95 for a full synthetic oil change. Tomorrow they're going to have their Saturday car show here. And if you are interested in winning a one-year lease on a Jeep Wrangler or $10,000 towards the purchase of any new vehicle, stop by here today. Enter your name to win at 755 North 500 West, and they're going to draw a name tomorrow and hook you up with a brand new one-year lease on a Jeep Wrangler. The vehicle is here in the showroom, or just $10,000 towards the purchase of any new vehicle in stock. But the big draw here, okay, I buried the lead. How about free hot dog on a stick? Yep, you heard me right. We got the hot dog on a stick truck here. It is a family-owned business. They're the nicest people. The dad drives the bus, or the dad drives the truck. The mom runs the business. The granddaughter takes your order, and the daughter makes the hot dogs. It is unbelievable. They're so nice. And it's a free corn dog. You get a side of fries and a drink. So it's their grand opening. My friends out here at Murdoch Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Shout out to Blake and Ben, my guys. I am in a Genesis, and if you are looking for a great car, I would encourage you to look at their Genesis options as well down in Linden. But thanks for making us a part of your day. We've had a fun show today with a lot going on. Of course, the conversation surrounding the upcoming NBA draft has dominated much of this week. June the 23rd, we'll find out who the newest member of the Utah Jazz is. The NFL released their schedule yesterday. We talked about that just a little bit. RSL's final home game is tomorrow prior to a 2-month-long World Cup break. We have the 108th playing of the PGA Championship at Aronimink Golf Course in Newtown Square, Pennsylvania. We'll get you a scoreboard update here real quick. I want to let you know that our PGA Tour leaderboard update is brought to you by Uinta Golf. Join us at Uinta Golf by Worldwide Golf for Mizuno Fittings. That week, that's going on right now. It's the 14th through the 17th. You can test drive Mizuno's JPX woods and irons at Uinta Golf. This golf course was designed to punch these guys in the mouth today, and that's what has happened. Alex Smalley is your leader in the clubhouse. He carded a 69 today. He's 4 under par. Maverick McNeely is on 17. He's at 4 under par. The rest of the golfers are in the clubhouse. Chris Gotterup and Hideki Matsuyama, 3 under, as is Aldrich Potgieter, who was your leader, but he bogeyed 17. Minwoo Lee at 3 under. Ludwig Oberg had a nice close. He's at 2 under par, as is Cameron Young, Harris English, Siwoo Kim, Justin Thomas, and Scotty Scheffler. Of course, Justin Thomas has won 2 PGA championships, and Scotty Scheffler is the number 1 player in the world. Jordan Spieth was hoping to potentially finally capture the Grand Slam. It's his 10th try here. He is 2 over for the day, 1 over for the tournament, which is tied for 29th, but he is through 16. Doesn't look like he's going to be in the mix to win it, but this is a very crowded leaderboard. A lot of conversation surrounding Bryson DeChambeau, who will not be playing over the weekend. He had a much better round today than he did yesterday, but not close to enough. Bryson 7 over par, so no Bryson DeChambeau over the weekend. The NBA playoffs resume tonight. In fact, it's going right now. Detroit-Cleveland just barely tipped off. Amazon Prime has your coverage tonight. Okay, so it's Pistons-Cavs at Rocket Arena in Cleveland, Ohio. Then Spurs T-Wolves at Target Center in Minneapolis, Minnesota. So we have 2 Game 6s tonight in the NBA. We'll see if we have 2 teams that are going home for the summer, or will we have 2 Game 7s coming up on Sunday. In case you missed it, a little bit earlier today, with the Jazz grabbing the number 2 pick in the draft and the NBA Combine going on right now in Chicago, a lot of different things going on concerning the narrative surrounding the Utah Jazz. And Mark Spears is the first, I will say, credible reporter to break the news that the Jazz and the Wizards are actively in discussions about the Jazz potentially moving up to number one. Now, if Washington is willing to move that number one overall pick, I'm quite sure that their phones are ringing by a lot of people other than the Utah Jazz. I bet Michael Winger's phone is ringing left and right. Will Dawkins, their GM, Travis Schlenk, their senior VP of player personnel. It is a very valuable asset. And I'll quote Smitty. Smitty, who joined us earlier this week, talked about, if you're a team like Washington, if you're a team like the Jazz, do you consider trying to add multiple assets to your roster instead of just one really good player? For me, I would not. Okay, with all the conversation around who A.J. DeBonsa could be or who Darren Peterson could be, quite frankly, you would really have to blow me away if you want to grab the number one or number two overall pick. I don't know, man. I think if I'm Washington, I go AJ, and if I'm the Jazz, I just take whoever they don't take out of AJ or Darren Peterson. If there's the potential of the Jazz sending the number two pick to Washington and maybe a future first rounder to get number one to get AJ, I would do that. But if they're calling me and asking for Ace Bailey and the number two pick for number one and a player like Bilal Coulibaly, I don't even entertain that. Give me Ace Bailey and Darren Peterson instead of A.J. DeBonsa and Bilal Coulibaly. I mean, I think Ace showed a lot last year, and I'm not sure that I want to sacrifice that asset. So who knows what Washington's asking price is? Who knows what the Jazz are willing to give up just to move up one spot? But, of course, now that Mark Spears has it on the record that these conversations are happening, it does make it very, very interesting as we inch closer and closer to June the 23rd. Now, based off of precedent, based off of history, I don't think we will see a trade prior to draft night. That's when most of these trades are made. But also based off of history, based off of precedent, it's pretty rare a pick is moved in the top five. It happens. But it's also very rare on draft night that you're going to have a team move up that's already in the top five or move down that's already in the top five. Now, Danny Ainge is the architect of one of the most famous examples of this. When everybody in pro basketball was set to take Markelle Fultz and the Lakers looked like they were high speed ahead to drafting Lonzo Ball, Danny liked Tatum, and Boston won the lottery. So Danny traded the number one pick to Philly and said, go ahead and take Markelle Fultz. We believe that LA will take Lonzo Ball, and therefore we can move down, grab additional assets, and grab the player we think is the best player in the class anyway. And Danny was right. Jason Tatum was the best player in that class. He was the right guy to go after, and Philly, of course, swung and missed on Markelle Fultz. And if you have the number one overall pick and you swing and miss, it can set your organization back decades. Unless you're the San Antonio Spurs, and it's just a matter of time until you get another number one pick or another top five pick. But there's a lot of pressure on Danny and Austin Ainge to get this thing right. Because if they can identify the player they want and do anything they can in their power to get the right guy and hit on that pick, we could be looking at June 23rd as potentially the beginning of what hopefully is the next generation of great Utah Jazz basketball. Miles Turner went on his podcast today and just ripped into Doc Rivers. Apparently, Giannis Antetokounmpo has a habit of not just being late, but being an hour late to flights, and he was never fined or reprimanded. And Miles Turner said that was pretty commonplace in Milwaukee when Doc was the head coach there. Taylor Jenkins has that job now. Of course, he was the Grizzlies coach before they moved off of him. Both Oklahoma City and New York continue to wait and rest up to find out their matchups in the conference finals. Both Oklahoma City and New York are trying to get players back. OG Anunoby did practice in full with the Knicks today, so he should be good to go game one. No word on J-Dub on Jalen Williams as to when we'll see him. So Cleveland and Detroit just tipping off now. The Cavs trying to close out the Pistons. Then coming up at 7:30 on Amazon Prime, San Antonio, Minnesota. Minnesota will try to stay alive. San Antonio. All right, wrapping it up, Friday edition of the program. Before we say goodnight, a couple pieces of house cleaning here. It is the ESPN 700 Festival of Tees, powered by the Utah Golf Association. Each day, ESPN 700 is giving away rounds of golf from the best courses in the state. Listen to the Sean O'Connell Show from 11 to 2. Listen to me from 2 to 6 for your chance to win each day from ESPN 700. Details can be found on ESPN700sports.com. Text in right now to win 877-353-0700, 877-353-0700. Say something nice about Porter. Say he's a good producer. He's good at watching birds. He can climb mountains. I don't know. 877-353-0700. We'll send you to Stonebridge Golf. Porter, say something nice about yourself before we sign off.
I think you covered it.
That's it?
Yeah. That's kind of my my whole ethos in a nutshell there. Pushing buttons, climbing mountains, watching birds.
It's a good life, man. You can't complain. It's a good life.
Could be worse.
Also, Stern Dirt Racing is kicking off summer with some crashing and bashing.
Here we go.
Sounds like that's what I do. At the May Mania Demolition Derby, May the 16th at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden. This sounds awesome. Stern Dirt Racing? Some crashing and bashing? I like to call that Friday night myself, but anyway, text CRASH to 33986 now to win tickets. That is CRASH to 33986. All right, Porter, that's it. I've had it. I'm out. I'm done. You can take this job and shove it.
Yeah, we'll welcome you back whenever you're feeling up to it.
I'll be back Tuesday, but I am out Monday. Okay, I want you to be my hype man for a minute. I will be honest about my golf game. I'm a fine golfer. I'm an improving golfer. I'm a 7.4 index. That's fine. On a good day, I can get you a 76, 77. On a normal day, we're looking 82, 83. I found out recently I still have 90s in me. I should not be going to play in this golf tournament on Monday. I should not. But I'm going to because I'm not a coward and I like to do hard things. Give me a message. Hype me up. Be my hype man. Let's hear it.
Just play around. The biggest detriment to your golf game is to overthink. If you just play your game, forget the fact that you're in a tournament or that you're not maybe at your usual course. Just try to settle down, try to settle in. Let the clubs do the work, Spencer. Nice. And I think you'll be fine.
Maybe take it one swing at a time. Stay in the moment.
Well, you always got to do that. But yeah, that's my best advice to you, because usually when golfers start to let the wheels fall off, it's when they're trying too hard.
Appreciate that. I'm hyped now. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, Porter, what do we have coming up on Monday with you and my guy Tony Parks?
Well, we got a bunch to recap over the weekend. Of course, the PGA Championship. We've got NBA playoffs. We've got RSL's last home match before their midseason break. We've got, man, what else? PBR finals, if you want to go there. NFL offseason and the schedule. We've got a bunch to get to. So Tony Parks and I will handle it all. Tom Haberstroh stops by for your NBA Daily Assist. We'll chat with our guy Craig Bolerjack, and then we'll go from there on a Monday. Maybe some RSL stuff as well.
So make sure to join Porter and Tony on Monday. I will be back in the saddle on Tuesday. I want to say a very special thank you to my guys out here, Blake and Ben Murdoch, Steve, the guy that runs kind of the advertising side of things, just great people. Murdoch, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, 755 North, 500 West in West Bountiful. You buy a new car, you get a brand new Blackstone grill. They've got leases on trucks and Jeeps for $399. I'm talking about brand new cars. And stop by here at 755 North, 500 West to grab a free hot dog on a stick, side of fries and a drink. Enter to win a 1-year lease on a Jeep Wrangler or $10,000 towards the purchase of any new vehicle in stock. Here at Murdoch, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, you gotta come see us. Special thank you. Howard Beck, Sarah Todd, Tony Parks, and Paul Pugmire. For any of the sound you missed from the show today, go to the website. It's ESPN700sports.com. Download the mobile app and take us on the go. Best way to listen to the station. And then please, over the weekend, if you have some time, pull up your preferred podcast catcher. Find The Drive with Spence Checketts. Subscribe to that, rate it, review it, and then please do the same with Reality Check with Spence Checketts, my new podcast with our friends at KUTV. For Porter, I'm Spence saying goodnight. Have a great weekend. Be good to yourself. Be good to each other. I'll talk to you on Tuesday. Join Porter and Tony on Monday. And, of course, for all the action, you can catch it always right here on your home with the Utes, ESPN 700.